Welcome to the February 3rd meeting of the Board of Selectmen. We started with the police chief at 6:30, which brings us to the public hearing, but we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance for him. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll have public comment right after the hearing. So I'm going to open a public hearing to hear public testimony and comment regarding the increase of rental fees of the town facilities, including but not limited to the town hall, gazebo, and Chase Park.
Take one and pass it.
Mr. Chairman, as
sir.
a matter of procedure, if you folks are going to hold a public hearing on something, it would really be nice if you distributed the substance of what your proposal is significantly prior to the meeting so that the public can look at it and decide whether they want to testify. It's very hard to come up here and comment intelligently on a proposal that we've just seen. Thank you.
So what I handed you is a one-page sheet. It's pretty simple, pretty easy read. The what's being eliminated is cross-through, and what's being added, there's nothing being added on the town hall sign usage. There's two things being eliminated, and then if you look on the facility use form, that is 4 pages. The only thing that has any changes is the first 2. Largely to do with the price of the private events. And the nonprofits has changed a little bit, which is under number 9 and number 10, and everything else stays the same. For the last time you guys talked about it, which was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
The only thing that I didn't find, Naomi, was the checklist.
A checklist. Right here, on the very bottom, says they receive a checklist?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I know what it
Checklist
is,
of
but some other
items.
people may not.
think
It's
it's
a
that when
list,
they go-
you give us a list when we pick the keys up. So
Yep.
when we use the facility over there, they go through, check that the lights are off, the garbage picked up, the floors are swept, that's kind of
We
thing.
didn't talk about changing the checklist.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think,
We've never seen it either.
well, I've seen it, but.
Okay,
Well, I've never seen
all
it.
right, well, it's,
Well, you've seen it because you've rented the building.
okay, well, the checklist is pretty self-explanatory. Like she said, there's a, tells you what to do, and you check off that you've done it, and you sign that you've done it. And there's a special box or a few lines on the bottom that we ask people to write if they found something wrong when they got here, so that we know that. It's handed out with every key. Typically, that's, we never get them back half the time, which is another problem. We get a key thrown in the black box with no checkoff list. And then to try to chase down who did what to when is very difficult as well. Because you may have 2 people in over Saturday and Sunday, and if nobody returns the checklist, how do I know who did what?
Right.
So, I don't know where you want to include anything in there. There is a checklist when they pick up the key.
Okay, well, let's start with the easy one, just for organization. The town hall sign usage rules and regulations. Does anybody have any statements on the rules and regulations of the sign usage with the 2 lines that have been strucken, or whatever it is?
Stricken.
There it is, stricken. Been a long day.
There's 4 lines on each side, right?
Pick it up, speak up the thing.
So
He's gotta come
Oh.
up with
there's
the
2
thing.
lines there.
No, on the rules and regulations of the town hall sign usage.
He needs to come.
Yeah, you gotta come up to the podium too, so we can hear you. Sorry, viewing audience can hear you, excuse me. I said we gotta come up so the viewing audience can hear us.
You can run it? What?
Yes.
Wait a minute, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So the sign hall rules and regulations, we took out, no announcement shall be left on the sign longer than 1 week at a time. And then a couple of lines down, it was taken off there. If announcements are left up beyond 1 week, privilege to use the sign will be suspended for a year. Nobody has any issues with that, we can move on to the Facility use form.
there's always been on this form a $10 deposit,
Right,
and that's because over the years,
losing letters.
losing letters, and those aren't cheap. So, I think that was just a thought. It's-
But, yeah.
hasn't been acted upon. And the other thing is, nor has this sheet. So when you take out 55 letters and you only return 35, I don't know how many are returned.
Right, we're not on that one.
And that's why we ended up with everything missing and not enough letters.
Okay.
So I think moving forward, I think we should, if we've got it, we should implement it all through.
Absolutely. I would agree. Okay. No statements on that?
I wonder if it might be a good idea to put on the first instance that this, the use of the sign, you have on the bottom, the Board of Selectmen has the right to remove announcements in order to use the signboard for a town government event and meetings. I wonder if that shouldn't be up and near the top rather than in the bottom, because it seems to me that the first use of the sign should be for full town items, so I think that needs to be more on the top. Have we ever had deposits for town signs? Because I don't know that we,
Some did, some mostly didn't.
what do you mean some did?
Some people came and brought the $10 because they followed the instructions. And if you didn't bring it, we just let you have the letters anyway. It wasn't really enforced.
Okay, and does this come on first come, first served basis? Is this
I
on
believe
a
that's the way it's
rotating
always been.
basis? Is there people who,
Well, it says
You know,
here, the
ha-
first option's given to the person using the town hall.
yeah,
And then, since the building used on a daily basis, the event announcement must have taken place prior to the next announcement being placed on the sign.
right, but what happens if there are a number of things going on in the town by various nonprofits and they all want to use the sign? How do you work that?
Well, we talk about allowing 2 signs on either side to be used. We talk about town committees and town nonprofits also being able to use it, but it talks about, in that same paragraph, however, the sign is large enough to allow 2 lines on each side per event, for a total of 2 events to be advertised at the same time. It's gonna be short wording, but,
I believe
Well,
it'd be,
this has always been in effect.
right.
yeah.
The only change that's been made is the one down here.
But
If
to answer her
announced-
question, yes, it's always been first come,
First
first
come,
served.
first
I
served.
actually I've never seen this
Okay,
before.
well, it's on the website. It's been on the website since we started.
Okay, and you have here, no organization committee will be allowed to monopolize its use of the sign. I'm not sure what I understand what monopolize means, but does that mean that if I'm part of a nonprofit and I have something going on every month, I can't use that sign then every month? If anybody else wants to use the sign, or how does that work?
I mean, I can tell you what I think, but it's you guys' rules.
Board? I don't think we thought of that.
Well, if it's, I think it needs to be shared among the people that need to use it. I don't think any one group should be using it. If there are other groups in town, it should be rotated through.
Yeah, I think there should be equal time, personally, and in use of common sense of what equal time would mean.
Okay.
That would be my thoughts.
And the $10, because I haven't seen this before, the $10 is for any organization, or is it for nonprofits
It
as well?
says,
It's a
yeah, it says,
deposit.
it says for anyone except for town committees.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just finish that though? The $10 is returned to you once you bring your letters back. If you read it, the $10 deposit is required by anyone utilizing the sign and will be returned when the letters are brought back. I don't know what
So it's not like-
$10
it's not like a
gonna do for $55.
Deposit.
Yeah, it's not a $10 rental, it's a deposit, just in case you don't bring them back.
Or you
But
don't bring them all
$10 for
back.
50 letters is gonna be.
To pick up what Helene said, I've never seen this either. This is gonna be our 17th year of using the sign, and for 16 years, I've never seen this before. We're a nonprofit, Southware Improvement Society, and we usually, for 16 years, we have had the second week leading up to the third Saturday of the month, and we have shared it dozens and dozens and dozens of times with never refusing anybody. Never. So we usually have both sides, and if someone needs to share it, they have the Henniker side, we keep them in. What we call the Goffstown side, it says Manchester side here. And we've never refused anybody, so I came in the other day and saw Karen, and met Karen for the first time, because I thought Naomi and I had talked about setting aside the times that I wanted, and I left thinking that was going to be done, but it hasn't been done, so this is the reason why I'm here. So if I come tomorrow to sign up can I get March through October like we've done for 16 years?
I mean,
And like I said,
you're one of the, I mean, I don't say you're one of the reasons. You do have a specific time that you've always used.
Right,
And the reason we didn't go forward is because we were doing tonight.
okay.
So at the end of tonight, if the board still doesn't mind you using the second week and having the option of, because something may occur between, those 7 months or whatever.
And I'm fully aware of that, yeah.
Right, and whoever's using the town hall may get one side of the sign.
Like I say, we've never refused
No,
anybody,
I
never,
understand.
ever.
Exactly.
Right, and that's why I think it needs to
Right.
carry on.
Yeah.
I'm 100% behind that.
Right.
Again, if we got a good system, don't screw it up,
Yeah,
but,
and we weren't taking it that you couldn't use it. It was
Right.
just that we didn't want to do it until we had the public hearing.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Like I said, I've never seen this, and this is gonna be our 17th
This
year.
has been on the website since we've done it.
Yeah. So you still want a $10 deposit every month, is that what you want?
That's these guys.
I don't mind the $10, I just didn't want it to be
I
$10,
think-
a day, you know?
those letters are not cheap, there's no doubt about it.
I'm fully aware of that, yeah.
So, I think the $10 deposit, like I said, it's not a payment, it's a deposit.
I have no problem.
I think that should stand personally.
Okay. So I'll come tomorrow, we'll go over with the ones we want, is that all right with you?
So,
Because bingo, being a nonprofit, we don't have a lot of money, so
Right.
bingo keeps our lights on.
There you go.
If we don't keep the lights on, the place dies, you know? So I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
And if I'm understanding this correctly, you wouldn't bring in the $10 for each month. You would pick up,
No, I would do it every
your
month.
$10 deposit would come in when he would pick up the letters to put on the sign,
Right.
is that?
Yeah, that's the way I
Yeah.
And
understand
then
it.
when
I
he
just
brings
want
back
that
the baggie, we
understood.
hand it back. It's
No, I
$10.
understand that.
Right.
That's the way I understand it.
Yes. I just want to make that clear.
Yep.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else on the sign? Okay. We'll move on. To the facility use form. I think this is what everybody's here for.
Yep.
So I try to get the other stuff out of the way early. Now, we had discussion about this, and we got a couple of different surrounding towns' ideas to clean it up, bring it up to 2020, I'll say. The board made a decision, I was not here when that was made, of what they wanted to add and what they liked in the other ones. And apparently this is where we're at with what we have in front of us. We are on the facility use form, page
The
one.
4-page one is
Yep.
stapled together.
The
Yep, I
dark.
want it stapled together. So, obviously, as stated, the private events has gone up. Nonprofits charging a fee has been added. And then we have lines 9 and 10. I think 9's pretty self-explanatory, trying to preserve the building as far as nails, tacks, transparent tape, et cetera, on the walls. The walls are old, so I think that's pretty cut and dry. And then line 10, You know, if it's left, the facility is left in shambles, which I'm not accusing anybody of doing that, but if it is left in shambles, the town has to clean it. So I think that's a viable line. If you go in and it's clean, you leave it's clean. But again, I think we're talking minor about that. I think we're more about line 3 than anybody, so.
Regarding line 3, the last bolded line, custodial fees are required for all, I'm sorry, that's not the one. First paragraph. $75 per event plus a $50 refundable cleaning deposit. 2 separate checks will be required at the time of the application. And no point in here do I see how long it'll take for the applicant to get that refund back. Is it a 1 week, 2 week, a month after it gets inspected?
I believe it'll be right after it'd be inspected.
Probably ought to be spelled out in here.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's valid.
I don't see what they,
We're just changing, well, the timeline.
How are you enforcing this? And I ask that because obviously I've been involved with groups using the town hall. So how do you know from one group to the next whether it's clean or not, or vacuumed or not, or whatever needs to be done or not?
That's
we
probably,
brought that up too.
probably gonna be difficult if you have 2 events on a weekend to verify who left it clean or who didn't leave it,
But
more
is the
likely.
process that it normally gets checked every time a group has used it? I mean, and who
Well,
does it?
There's only, we pay for cleaning once a week over there. That's all
So,
we pay for.
so in fact,
So what would happen is, my envision, is somebody's gonna have to run over after an event and make sure it's clean.
do we have the staff to do that?
Well, somebody would have to make that run over there, but at the same time, my idea of clean and your idea of clean to be 2 different things, and we could have that discussion.
Well, if I recall, it was pretty clear that you had to vacuum, you had to dry mop, you had to clean, take trash out. I mean, those are pretty visible things, right?
Yeah, that's on the checklist, yes.
But one of my concerns, and it was prior to this, is that if we have no way, if we don't have a system of enforcing it, why are we putting the rule in?
Good evening. It's an 87% increase in the fee for private events. And I guess I don't understand the need to charge the nonprofits if they're charging people to attend the function. What does that have to do with the fee, I guess? Is it $75? What does that cover for the town?
That's a private event, that's not a,
It's a
I
private.
understand that. I'm just wondering what the $75 cover.
Use of the hall.
Does it?
Heat, electricity, janitorials.
Oh, that's been studied then, so you know what the cost is per hour for heat, electricity, fuel, et cetera?
Well, $40 enough doesn't cover it.
I don't know. Okay, so you've done a study then?
No, we haven't.
Okay,
I can tell you what we spent from 17, 18, and 19, and what we took in.
well, what is
No
it based
study.
on though? What's the $75 based on, I guess is the question. It's a big, significant, it's 87%.
And there's, I mean, I don't know how often, and I shouldn't even be doing the talking, you guys should, but I'll just fill it in. I mean, there's other places in town to rent, but they're more money. You can go to
The church.
Osborne Hall. You can go to the Holy Cross Church, they're about the same. It's about $150 an event.
Right,
So,
right.
there are other places to rent.
So we're just trying to be competitive with the other,
No, but we'd
No,
like
not
to at least come
competitive.
some of the costs back when it's over $4,000 in a year for heat and electricity and you get $1,200 in income, that's
Right.
a disparaging amount difference.
so the nonprofits, you talked about recoup the heat, et cetera. If the nonprofit is charging for the event, they're not using more heat necessarily or more electricity, right? I was wondering why the nonprofits, if they decide to create an event that's going to generate some money for the nonprofit, why do they have to pay a fee? If the nonprofit is not charging for an event, you're not charging them. Is that correct?
That's how we envision it, yes.
So, but if the nonprofit's charging for the event to generate money for the nonprofit group, you're gonna charge them the same as the private event, $75? It just doesn't seem to make sense that you would do that
It
to,
is,
that you would do that to a nonprofit.
Private charging a
Charge
fee.
a fee to a town, like, charge a fee for the hall.
Right, that's where that's coming from.
Yeah.
So if you read that,
Dick just kind of had a lead-in for my questions. What's the philosophy behind it? Do we want to maximize the income to offset taxes? Is that why we're raising it? Or somehow do we want to cover additional costs for facility use so that there is less impact to taxes? Because we would keep the hall open anyway. I mean, we'd have to pay something, right, for the hall. We wouldn't turn off the heat and flush the water and not do that.
Maybe.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, what philosophy is this based on for, I'm not saying it's good or bad, I just would like to understand. And is it, I mean, we want to promote community activities, for sure. So I just wonder where, I mean, I think the idea of the income from the town hall specifically in Chase Park has been a conversation on and off for a long time. But what are we trying to do? We're trying to cover costs. Are we trying, if we're saying, well, you know, we're just going to compete with other venues around town and we'll just be less, so we'll have the venues, or are we trying to build communities? So I'd like to just know a little bit more about your philosophy for that. Thank you.
Again, I wasn't there at that discussion.
I think we're trying to cover our cost
cover the
of
costs.
operating that building.
You want to cover the cost?
Yes.
The full cost of that building?
Yeah,
That
for the,
doesn't seem fair.
for the heat and electricity that this town and the whatnot that it does. I mean, $40 an event doesn't do it.
$40 for an event will cover $4,000, which is what I think Naomi just said.
No, we're only bringing in $1,200-1,300 a year.
But how much would it cost if nobody used the building? Would you drain it? Would you just leave it sitting there, or would it be on?
Probably, I would guess probably $200 to $2,500 to keep that heat at a, I believe we got it set at 60. And if an event comes in, we turn the heat up.
Okay, so are you suggesting that if the building was not used at all, it would cost about $2,500 to just keep the building?
Presuming, yeah. I mean, I'm not a.
So you want the
heat guy,
difference, so you want to try and cover the difference between that and the 4,000? Is that what you're talking about? Or you're talking about trying to cover all of the 4,000? Personally, I just question.
I don't think we'll cover all the 4,000. Put a dent in it. I mean, or either that, if nobody rents it, then I guess we could just drain the water and shut the lights off.
And would you
shut
do
the heat
that?
off.
I would
mean-
hope not.
We don't want to, but, you know, what's it gonna come to? I mean, you can't be in the negative either, you know, that's.
No, I appreciate that.
And, I mean, there's people that have left, and, you know, there's people that have rented that hall, and I've gone by, and it's 2 days later, and the lights are still on, inside, at night. I've left meetings on a Monday, they used it on a Friday and a Saturday, and the lights are still left on, and we have to pay for that the town does. And I mean, that adds up the electric bill. The heat was still turned up, and it wasn't clean, because I went in and inspected it.
Okay, Jack, I appreciate that, but unless you have somebody regularly doing that, and then calling the people up and saying, we're charging you another $10 or whatever it is.
Well, I think
it's just-
that addresses it as a $50 custodial fee.
But I think it goes back to Helene's question of who's gonna enforce it.
Well, that's up to us to look for somebody. We've been trying to hire a custodian for the town to do these buildings, so I guess that's also a point to look at. I mean,
So
we
your
want to keep.
so your philosophy really is to alleviate the taxpayers from any cost for the town? For the, not for the building,
Excessive,
but for the...
excessive costs. I mean, to the point where, You know, it's a town building, yes, and it's like to be used, yes, it's part of our town. The thing is, you gotta look at it also like at your house. Would you take $1,200 to try and pay $4,000 down in your bills? No, I mean, $1,200 is not gonna cut it. So, I mean, you have to look at other means to change the balance sheet a little bit. And I'm not saying it's gonna cover all of it, but we gotta put a bigger dent in it than what we're doing.
Which we had tried to do initially, obviously. Costs were-
That's what we're trying to do now, plus the fact of, going in there and I've been in there a couple times, and I've mopped the floor. I wet mopped the floor with Murphy's oil soap because it was so filthy and sticky from somebody using it, it didn't get cleaned.
But unless you have
And
someone
unless
to
somebody
be-
does it, but the thing is this is maybe an incentive to make them pay more attention, maybe to clean up, or they're gonna get that extra $50. $50 is $50. If I had to pay the $50, I'd make sure the place was spotless and spit shine, so I get my money back.
Okay, let's see how it goes. But the philosophy is to try and cover the cost.
More of
for
the,
Cover the
more of the
cost.
cost.
That's
Yes.
their philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, we wanna preserve that building, and part of it's gonna have to come from that.
Naomi, do you know when the last time this $40 was put in to cover an event? It's been a long time, I
It's been a
know.
long time.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Jillian. I teach yoga up at the town hall. I started about a year ago. I took over for Catherine Martin, who taught up there for like 10 or 15 years. So I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if you would consider doing a separate price for people who use it on a weekly basis, because $75 for me would mean not having yoga at the town hall anymore. Because especially like in the summertime, the numbers go down to, sometimes I only have 5 people show up, and they're paying between $8 and $12 a class, so it would be costing money. I like the idea of having deposit for the cleaning fee, because often I get there, I found dirty diapers in the garbage, I found dog poop bags. One time the floor was so dirty I could see mica dust, like in the sunshine. So as someone who uses it weekly, I would appreciate knowing that other people were actually going to clean up after themselves. And then in an effort led by Peggy Schaefer, we also, every couple of months, she goes and buys the rubber feet, and we stay after class and we replace like a whole section of the rubber feet chairs. And as we go along each month, we just put the ones where the rubber feet fall off, we put them in a certain section, and then we just replace them every other month or whatever. So we try to take care of it. We try to be good stewards of the town hall. But again, a $75 fee for us, I get it for one-time events, but for us using it weekly, we wouldn't be able to run our programs.
So now, you use it daily,
We use it Thursday nights and Friday mornings.
Thursdays and Friday mornings,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And honestly, we haven't been paying that much, so I totally get that. We would want to pay more than what we've been paying for sure, but 75 is just like too much, so, yeah.
And you use it 52 weeks a year?
Yeah, there's some weeks we don't use it. Catherine was always really good about letting Mary know what weeks she wouldn't be using it, so if someone else wanted to use it during that time, they could. So we try to be respectful. We obviously skip Thanksgiving week, or, weeks where I have something to do and I can't find anyone to cover class.
A lot of the people that come to yoga, are these senior citizens that are coming?
The chair yoga for sure. Yep. Betty Straw comes every week. She's 94. She's always at yoga. She's the reason why I think everyone else feels obligated to come. And then the nighttime folks are like, I guess, baby boomer age range. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jean, and I am looking to rent the town hall for my Zumba classes. I teach a Zumba Gold, which is for seniors and beginners, and I also teach a Zumba toning class, and I'm looking to rent the hall on Mondays and Wednesday nights. But $75 a day is just a little bit too steep for me. So, and this is what I'm here for, to find out what I can do, what you can do for me for an hour of classes, you know, those 2 nights.
Okay.
I just want to keep it in Ware because, as you all know, RTH has left Ware and moved to Henniker, and I did not want to move my wellness class, Zumba, to Henniker. So I want to keep it right here in town.
So you're looking for 1 hour
Looking for 1 hour Monday nights and 1 hour
on Wednesday?
on Wednesdays, but it would be a little bit more than an hour so I can clean up after myself.
Yes, start and
Yes.
stop, yeah, I
Stop.
understand.
So
you
probably
had
an
a
hour and a half
2-hour
or an
window.
hour, whatever.
Right, probably.
That would be every week?
Every week, unless I can't make it. But yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I just did, so, the way I read this is if they're for profit, well, they're nonprofit, but they're making profit, they'd be charged for each event, correct? Is that what?
Private events.
Okay. So, we'll take Jillian for an example. She would be charged for 2 events during the week. Is that how the board intended it? So she'd be
That's what
paying.
it says. I
So
don't know
she'd
if
be
that's
paying
what
it
$150
says.
$150 a
intent?
week.
That's crazy.
I think.
Well, what I'm,
What she's told
well,
us.
well, I just did quick numbers, and I'm no mathematician, but between her and her using it would be $13,500 at the end of the year. In their 2 events a week, if you charge them for each
Yeah,
event.
well, and I understand.
So
that.
I don't think that's
And I think the
viable,
reason you're having
personally.
tonight is you have someone new taking over. We didn't know the extent of what went on, and that's what this is about. You guys can make the change to
Right.
because
We
it
can
is
adjust
for the
it.
goodness of the community.
Right.
All right.
Right.
You know, and largely it is the seniors or those that aren't working, or if you take, I mean, a lot of the girls here go to the yoga in the afternoon
Right.
Thursdays. So, you know, because it's convenient for their schedules. But this is what we started out with. Is it in stone? No, but that's why we needed to know what was going on. Because there's not a lot of,
Right.
there's some history from talking, but
I think
that's
we'll
what,
be
that's what we're
revisiting
here
this
for.
before it's all said and done.
Right.
Okay, I'm Valerie White. Some of you know me, some of you don't. And one of the things I do in town is I teach senior size weight training to seniors. I'm doing it at the town hall for about 19 years. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, I'm on the schedule from 8:30. By the time I leave, it's about 10. So several things that I have is, first of all, yes, I totally agree that security deposit, I've been asking for that for decades. And I think maybe by going up on the rates for the people that just use it once in a while, that's not a bad thing, because I can tell you, along with, I was wondering where the chair feet were coming from.
Wonder no more.
Well, no, because we started putting the chairs separate because all the feet that come off dig up the floor. So we've been putting them aside, and now yeah. So, but how many times I come in, and that's one of my questions, is about accountability with the security deposit, because I gave up even telling Mary or anybody else how many times, almost, I can give you one of the 2 days a week get there and the door's not locked, or it's not shut tight. I scrape caramel off the floor. Even, I know when they're gonna have the rabies clinic, that it's gonna take me 3 weeks to get all the dog fur off the rugs. And for fun, there was a blood spot that never got cleaned up. I just left it, see how long it would sit there. So when you say you're paying somebody to come clean weekly, we're getting ripped off. We're lucky there's toilet paper. No, and sometimes I actually carry a roll in my bag so that they have it. So I think people are taking advantage of it, and maybe if they have more money in the game, they might pay more attention to that checklist, because they don't. Whenever I see double events on the weekend, I drive by, I mean, people standing with the doors wide open during the winter. And it's just like, this is an
Parking in the
old
fire
bit.
lane.
It's like, the heat goes out the door. So, but with that, I have never been recognized, I've never filed for a non-profit status, but I have done, basically, people attend my class for a donation. If you can, during the course of 4 weeks, you can, you can't, you give me whatever you feel like. A lot of people, we shoot for like $2.50 for seniors. So, I mean, we have shrunk too in group size over the years. We've had some seniors leave, move, pass away. So I'm here more for the town hall, because I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be doing it, but if you go up, I've been paying $40 for I don't think I've ever paid in 19 years anything else.
$40 a
You
week?
pay-
A year.
A year?
Yeah,
But
'cause
then I don't charge for my cleaning services either. So I would like to know, if I could, because I don't have any official documentation for nonprofit, but that's what I would fall under by what it is I do. But I also would like to see the town hall be taken care of, and I agree with that it needs to be some kind of accountability, because without that, this is all a waste, because
Can I ask a question for either one of the, do you guys, what happens insurance-wise?
I submit an annual, like I'm covered.
Do you have insurance in case somebody falls down or something like that? Okay.
It's $1 million coverage.
Okay, no, I just didn't know. Okay.
And the
Do
town
you have
hall
insurance?
not specifically for that, because it's not a business. If I run over you with my lawnmower with Earthscapes, I can get it covered.
No,
but
I'm just
yeah.
looking at what if something happened, because we have the building.
Mhm.
You know, that's what is
Town
some,
hall has a copy of my insurance.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
just was asking.
No, I've never had one, never turned it in, because it is, if I had to pay for $800 a year insurance plus all that again, I wouldn't be doing it.
Now,
Thank you.
do you do any exercising or do anything like that? Or what do you do
Weight
with the
training.
people? Weight
In
training.
fact, if you go in and up on the stage, right near the curtain that's been broken for years, there's a big trunk. It's on wheels. That's that was what required. It had to be on wheels. I don't think you'll ever move it, but that's where I keep my weights. They had conceded that I could store my weights there.
It's okay, all right.
Yeah, lifting weights.
Yeah, we sit in
Lifting
chairs and
weights.
we
I
lift.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yes,
Okay, I got it.
you're welcome anytime.
So when I've taught yoga in other places, I've paid about $10 to $15 per class. I don't know if that helps give you a jumping
That does, because I just came
Yeah.
up with a number and I was at $12.50.
Yeah. So
Oh, gee, that was good.
Yeah, right up the middle.
and like they were a little bit cleaner places. But obviously, you're adjusting that. So yeah, I taught at the Holy Cross Church. I taught in Henniker at the bottom of Courteous Law offices. They have a nice finished off basement. And one place did a percentage per head. But that was,
That's hard to keep track, though.
yeah, it's easier to not do that because you're always having to calculate. And then you have to trust me and, all that. So just in case that helps.
Thank you. Because where I came up with $12.50, especially with like Jillian, was $100 a month, and that'd be $12.50 per class at 2 times a week, and that'd be, and I think that's reasonable for the nonprofit section. If it's gonna be a one-time baby shower, $75,
Yeah.
and bring a $50 deposit.
Yeah.
That's 100. I 100% agree with that. It's a
agree.
one-time gig, but you have these reoccurring ones where I think that's not unreasonable. It's $12.50 a class. Personally, I'm just one board member speaking. Again, I wasn't here. I wasn't here for the discussion that brought this forward.
I didn't realize there were that many. I knew about
Yeah.
the
Right.
yoga,
And
but
that
I
was
didn't
why
realize.
we're
yeah.
here tonight,
That's
because
why
we
we're
didn't
here.
know how
Yep.
many.
No,
there
I
was.
don't think, no.
Yep. So, and I think that right there would, $100 a month. If the two of them, there's $2,400. There's the other half of, a pretty decent sized chunk of what we're talking about. That $4,000.
Yeah.
And again, I think that also, if and I've seen it too, you drive by and the doors are wide open and everybody's hooting and hollering out the side door and, you see the heat rolling out of it. I think that comes back to us as selectmen, if we see that, to stop and say, hey, close the doors. Or get out. So,
Or if the police go by and they're in the fire zone, they could ticket.
yeah,
Yes.
get on that.
They always do that. They
Yeah.
always park, and then there's always someone that reaches out to
Always
me.
4 or 5 cars parked
Because
in front of that
there's a
building.
home
Right.
there that needs to get in and out, and people,
Block and
instead of going into the private event, knocking on the door and saying, hey, who owns this car?
Yeah.
I just think that you're only gonna do it once.
Yeah. So again, I'm like I said, the one-time events of $75 I think is fair.
Yeah.
I think that covers the heat getting turned back up, the electricity to use it. But like I said, I think we gotta do something different for the
Yeah.
continuous users,
Classes, yeah,
the continuous users that we have,
Yeah.
personally,
okay.
so.
fast enough. You have something here about not parking in front, because I agree with you, that's always been a real,
Bold, capitalized, and
one.
underlined.
Where is
Number
it?
one.
Number one on the
Number one,
first page.
underlined, there's no
On the first
parking.
page.
put down, they'll get ticketed. I mean,
Yeah.
put it down.
Right.
But it's painted on the pavement, it says no, and there's
I think
signs
it's the
there.
signs.
Yeah.
You know what, it hasn't done anything to help
Hasn't
that.
You know what, we'll start, and then,
Yep.
But-
Maybe you want to,
And by order of the fire chief, put down on the police chief.
and the police chief too, yeah.
Well,
But if
State
it-
RSA.
but the fire chief sets the fire zones.
right, because of the fire lane, that's
Right,
why
he
it says-
sets the fire lane.
Maybe it
Right.
should be on this application for use.
Well, they get this whole thing.
Yeah, you get the
Supposed
whole
to read
thing.
this whole thing and
But
fill
they're
it
gonna
out.
give us this back, they probably hold on to this.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but this way they're signing that they've seen it.
Yeah, just move that one line. The,
Put it on here.
yeah. Just
It's
so it's,
already there.
it's, well,
Where is it?
just so
There's
it's
no
read again.
parking right under there, no, under
There's
the
no
big.
Oh,
parking.
no
green-
parking
It's right
and
here.
blocking the residential driveway
right there.
next to
Right
town.
here,
There it
underlined.
is. Okay, so it's already on there. Guess we'll have to do that.
Can I just,
Next to the, yeah, but
I don't know. Triple it.
Well, whatever it is,
statute
write it
is.
down there. Say
there
it
is
fine.
no parking in front of
I
the
think it's
town
per
hall.
state statute,
State
State statute, so
Whatever it is, look it up and-
but that may change.
it may change year to year. We don't know.
So, okay, so by signing that, they have no
Yeah.
problem.
They have no
They don't
problem
read
with it.
Well, they'll find out when they get the ticket.
So I do, there's one person that uses the town hall as well that sent an email.
Okay.
She's the lady that does the scrapbooking club.
Okay.
She said, "I appreciate your time and efforts in managing the town hall rentals. Thank you for allowing me to send an email. I'm unable to join the selectmen's meeting tonight. I cannot, her husband's working and she can't leave home. So, scrapbooking group has been renting the town hall for more than 15 years. Started out as 6 women who scrapbook once a month in their homes. They rotate houses to host. The hosts would never get a break from their family during the time together. In addition, they felt the pressures to cleaning before hosting was not a bad thing. Lastly, we outgrew the space, so it was time that they found a spot, which they did. Our attendance to these events usually fluctuate. At times, there are 15-plus people, and then some months there could only be 2 or 3. It depends on actually everyone's schedule. So the benefit she put here is it brings us together as a community. There are times when the guests can only come for a few hours. That person who's fitting in some social time while juggling the kids' sports, birthdays, parties, sleepovers, they pop in and out for the day. Parking is open and convenient. Ramp to the hall allows easy access for those that need that feature. We have some who have walking impairments, and this is very helpful. We can bring extra tables. The long weekend schedules, people brings more people together. There are tables and chairs available. People are getting, both are getting run down and worn. And she said the hall is run down, the water smells sulfur, there's mold all over the ceiling, bathrooms are not clean and smell, leaky men's floor, water damage. Stage curtains have stains that have been there for 15-plus years, lighting is poor, no trash disposal, the cobwebs in the corners are bigger than Charlotte's Web. Just reading what she wrote. So, the potential increase, will not make rental justification for her. The months they have low attendance, it won't even cover the daily rental. It says we're not paying much, it is justified and we look past it. If I now must increase the fees, the attendees are asking, what are they increasing for? Which has been asked here. We have no other options available. The town does not have a senior center. We have no veterans, so the VFW hall is not an option. We do not have a Grange in our community, and there's no meeting house. All we have is the town hall. I understand
Have a
that
Grange Hall.
we have a Grange hall. It's not available for rent, though.
Oh, it is.
The Swiss Society, right. But I think, again,
They're not gonna be able to
they're not gonna
afford
do
that.
it, right.
No.
It just says, I understand the hall rental is the same price for a very long time. I understand the cost of the building, heat, power, maintenance, all go up every year. This is not a business. In order to grow the group and support a substantial increase would require us to run it like a business. I think Valerie hit on that. We do require a business name filing with the state, federal taxes, and dedicate time. This is not just available to me. Based on all this information and feedback from my group, I decided to withdraw my request for the rental for the remaining 2020. We're not a nonprofit organization. We've never been given a discount. Our group is scheduled to rent 14 times in 2020 at $40. The income's $560, well above the nonprofit multiple annual rent fee schedule. Can you offer scale rental like nonprofit groups that they've done in the past? She has communicated to all 40-plus club members that all events have been canceled. If there's a decision to allow for private events, I will reconsider my position.
What was the frequency you use? Once a month?
She schedules it.
I'm sorry, once a week?
No, she uses it once a month.
Once a month.
They
Once a month,
typically
okay.
get together once a month, a couple times a year. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And like she said, her interest fluctuates depending on the time of year, from 2 or 3 people to 15-plus people.
How long are they there? Are they
They've
there?
been renting for 15 years.
No, how many hours are they there when they do their?
They use Saturday and Sunday once a month.
Once a month?
Okay.
And there's
So
a
that's
couple
2
weekends they
days.
use Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a weekend thing.
Right.
Okay.
But again, there's 40-plus people in the community. I actually heard from my sister, one of them, trying to come up with a different option.
So did they pay $40 for
For the
two-
weekend?
For the weekend?
I'm not sure how much she paid. Evidently, it was probably more along the lines of the nonprofit versus the, because it says, the $40 is $560, which is well above the nonprofit multiple annual. So I'm thinking she was used the nonprofit, but I don't know exactly.
Okay. Well, and-
Again, it's a community thing.
right, and I just think, again, math was not my strong point, but, if you used it once a week, this is, and again, I just did numbers real fast. If you use it once a week, every week for 52 weeks a year, $50 a month. If you use it twice a week, 52 weeks a year, it's $100 a month. For some reason, if something goes crazy and we need it 3 times a week, it's $150 a month. And that's still $12.50 a session. I think that's $12.50 a session. Now, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
That because they use it once a month.
month,
A month on a
for
weekend?
3 days in a row, 2 to 3 days.
2 to 3
3
days in a
days.
row, yeah.
Right.
I don't know how I'd handle that one.
Is it called an event? If you go for a
I would say it's an
Seminar.
event.
scrapbook weekend,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say it's an event,
Yep.
personally.
it's an event because it's entirely, no one uses it from Friday to Sunday. They have it all.
Right,
So they can go home at the end of the day on
And leave
on
what they
Friday
had.
night
Leave
and
their
leave the
stuff there.
tables up and leave it set up because nobody's coming
can
in.
you call that $75 for the 3-day
I'm-
event?
I'm just
Yeah,
asking what you.
I think that
think
it's
that seems-
viable.
Yeah.
It's viable, but again, it's a reoccurring event. So should they be on a different,
I
You
think,
know.
yeah. I mean, I hate to push them out if they're not gonna have any place to go.
well, I think that's why we're here and we're having this public hearing. Is to
I
hear,
mean, are they taking in a fee to go in and have people come to the
I don't
scrapbook?
scrapbook, so.
I don't know. mean,
I don't know either. I'm just,
So I mean, at 12,
They're
you know,
probably
your,
charging
your,
members to
your
pay the
figures
rent.
at $12.50 a head,
no,
No,
an
class.
event.
an event.
And
An event
class,
for
class.
reoccurring. Yeah.
So
Reoccurring.
you're talking $12.50 and you're talking $100 a month, right? Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
If it was used
Twice a
four,
week.
They're
4
being
weeks a year.
charged.
If it was used
4
4
weeks
weeks a
a
year,
month.
4 weeks a
'Cause, I
month,
mean, your
correct.
math had me
2
messed up
times
for
a
a minute.
week.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounded like you were charging them just for once a month, so $150, so.
Well, again,
So this is a class, but it
It
goes
is only
longer.
once a month.
I mean, you wanna charge them this 3 times?
well, again, I think, that's what I'm saying. I think that the,
That's what she's saying she can't afford, or they can't afford.
right. That I don't
That's the
know.
way I hear it.
But I don't know where she falls into
And
this.
I don't know, yeah, without somebody here to actually give us the inside notes,
Right.
it's tough to say.
Right.
Well, it's $75 an event per month is $900 a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's got 2 people for 70. I don't think
Yeah,
that's-
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
pricey.
It's a little pricey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could
Yes.
I suggest that you work on this?
Yes.
And then
Oh, we're
get
going to.
back, then get back to us, because the
We're
public
going to.
hearing was to get input from us,
Right.
And I
right?
think we've got that.
And that-
Yeah,
and
I
that-
think we've got that, yeah.
Right, and could I also ask, once it's all finalized, that we keep track pretty well, so that next year at this time, we can take a look.
I think that will
what's
be
happening.
done, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to this, Frank?
Thank you. Frank Campana. Just a couple of observations on page 2 of 4, number 14. All renters must be 18 years of age or accompanied by an adult. 18, I don't know how that came about, but, you know, with age comes maturity with most people.
We'd like to thank.
And I don't consider myself most people, just put for the record.
So you're not, you haven't matured then? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I said. I said most, but I'm not one of most people. I'm not too sure that 18, you know, kind of young. You're going to have 18-year-olds that want to have a, you know, 30, 35 kids get together. You know, they don't have to be accompanied by an adult, if I read that right.
No, I think that was put in because we have had some kids that are seniors at high school, and their senior project is to host
An event?
craft fair. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
So typically, they're still in school, and that's why the adult's with them.
Okay.
Those are the only couple things I can remember in the last few as to why it'd be 18. I
Okay.
really don't know.
Well, I didn't realize that.
Can't discriminate either.
Because sometimes they have to host, yeah, when you do this graduate, you have to do a senior project.
Right.
So part of your senior project may be some campaign meeting or some informational forum.
Okay.
And there's no place for these kids to use it.
Okay.
So that's why they do it as part of their project. I know there's a couple different ones that comes to mind for the 18.
I don't know if you, and I appreciate that.
Sure.
So you figure that those kids are probably, you know, at least mature for their age.
Yep.
But I'm thinking more of the party aspect.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how you work that out.
Well, there's no alcohol allowed.
But, yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to take alcohol for them to, you know, start tearing things up.
Yep.
I guess, you know, you get wild. And then still, it says, or accompanied by an adult. I don't know if there should be an S in parentheses after that. Again, excluding your example
Yep.
of kids. But if kids want to hold a party, 30, 35 kids, is one adult going to be sufficient? I'm not sure. So,
Yep.
again, something to think about, I guess. And then on the page 3 of 4, where it's all bold printing, no activities from 12 midnight to 6 a.m. I mean, this really doesn't affect me. I mean, 12 midnight, if things go awry, I'm not going to hear anything. But, you know, sometimes, you know, things happen the later the night goes on. So I'm not sure if 12 is maybe too late in the night. If it's, I don't know if that applies to activity from 12 midnight. Does that mean that the activity ends at 12 midnight, and then people are staying there to clean up till 1 o'clock in the morning? Or does it mean that the activity ends earlier and then they're out by midnight? So, I don't know, I think 12 midnight is a little bit probably too late, but again, I don't live next door to it, so it should be up to somebody else. But just a consideration to discuss, I guess. That's it.
Thanks, Frank. Anybody else for the public hearing? All right, we'll close it.
Right, we're not gonna put this away for a week, though.
Oh, no, no.
Okay, because we've got people, a long line
Trying
of
to sign
people
up.
trying to sign up, and we're waiting to see what's happening.
Right. Yep.
Nothing on Chase Park?
I think that this is,
No, it's included there,
yeah, this is the facility use.
yeah. Chase Park's not a big renter, but. So on page 3, it says IE when it says location. Town hall, ball field, gazebo, etc. Chase Park is one of the facilities.
Closing the gazebo.
I guess I'd be really scared if that's what they were gonna rent for this year.
I guess the question is, are you folks proposing any changes in the fees
No.
for the use of Chase Park?
Nope.
Okay.
Not
Are
on
you
this.
talking
No.
gate fees? That's two different things.
Right.
Whatever the fees are, for boats, for gate?
No, that's
Totally different.
Totally
Listen,
different.
because we do have people call, and before we're open, want to use the facility to get married at the lake. So that would fall under the same thing. It wouldn't be during the heart of the summer, we don't do that. But they do like to use the lake, maybe if it's nice May.
So the fees that we're talking about here in connection with the town hall
Yes.
would also apply to the use of the gazebo and to the use of Chase Park for, as you put it, weddings. Is that the concept?
That,
I would
I would
agree.
think that's a
Yeah.
facility,
Not,
yeah.
not boat launch ramp, et cetera. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something different.
It might help if in some way you clarified that here. Thank you.
Thank you.
See, I don't
always
know.
been there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
I don't know about- yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
Yeah. I didn't know we charged to use a gazebo to begin with.
I don't know that you.
right, we don't.
But, no, I don't think you use to charge for the gazebo, but it is nice to schedule for it. Because it's nothing worse than somebody wants to get married in the fall, and you've got kids climbing from the trees. Not a pretty thing.
Perfectly good policy. Whatever you decide, make sure it's clear here so
Yes.
everybody knows.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Yep.
So. Anybody else? All right, close it again. An hour, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming.
Yep.
Um, All right, I'm going to put our further deliberations down the stack a little bit with this, because we did put off public comment. So, public comment.
Hi, Neil Kirk, Mount Dearborn Road. I'm here to talk about
Long time no
your,
talk.
your favorite subject and mine, the default budget.
Oh.
My concern about the default budget is that it be accurate and reflect state law. Whether it's higher or lower
No, you can't close that. Whoever's opening.
Well, they don't know that.
is not the issue, okay? It's to make sure we're following law. And my concern this time has to do with the elections budget. The way the default budget is now set up, you have a reasonable amount of money in the proposed budget, $17,000 and change. But in the default budget, you have $8,600. That clearly is not enough to run the elections, the 4 elections in 2020. However, as I understand the basis for putting that number in, it's the amount that we spent last year. And for whatever reason, you've decided that despite the language of the statute that deals with mandates required by statute and one-time expenses, you're simply taking the money from last year that we spent and putting it in this year's default budget. On that theory, what's going to happen in 2021 is that you're going to, assuming that the proposed budget passes, you're going to take the $17,000 and change that we spent for 4 elections in 2021 and put that as the default budget in 2021 when we have only 1 election. Now, that just defies common sense, and it defies the language of the statute. A default budget is defined as the same appropriations as contained in the operating budget, the proposed budget, authorized for the prior year, reduced and increased as the case may be by debt service, contracts, neither of those applicable, and other obligations previously incurred or mandated by law. State law mandates that we have elections. In some years, it mandates we have 1 election. In some years, it mandates 4, and perhaps others in other election. So whatever it costs us to provide that election is what has to go in the default budget for that year. The way I understand it, for 2020, the year we're in now, the proposed budget is properly set at 17 and change. The default budget should be roughly 14,000. State law does not require we feed our election workers. But state law does require, for example, that we have stuff printed and things mailed out. And the cost of that has to be in the default budget. Assuming you did that, we now go to 2021. Assuming the operating proposed budget passes. At that point, you would have, I don't know the exact number, it's 14,000 and change, as the default position, the way I understand it to be. At that point, your default budget wouldn't be $14,000, because in 2021, we have but one election. And the cost for one election is roughly $8,600. And that's the amount that would go in the default budget. Remember that the default budget not only contains items mandated by law, but also it says reduced by one-time expenses. And you can argue that the election for elections is a one-time expense. It happens roughly every 4 years. That's a one-time thing. Not quite as infrequently as repairing a roof, but it's the same concept. So in that case, for 2021, since you had this one-time expense in 2020, you don't repeat it in 2021. So, to sum up, I urge you to look again at the default budget and make the changes that I've suggested. And that's what should, and since you folks have the power to change that, we can discuss this at the deliberative session. State law says folks have the right to discuss the default budget at the session, but only the selectmen can change it. There's no vote taken on it. We can't move to amend the default budget. So I hope you folks will take this into consideration. I understand there are different folks, including attorneys, who will say on the one hand this and on the other hand that. I'm trying to tell you what the law says, and while I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving you an illegal opinion, I'm telling you what common sense would have us do. The idea that we're going to have a default budget in 2021 of $17,000 for one election is mind-blowing. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good evening. I'm a little disappointed in the actions of the board over the past year when it comes to raises. And at last year's deliberative session, there was an attempt to amend an article to increase the salary for the Public Works Director to, I believe it was $8,000. The majority of people that opposed it were opposing it because there was no information. There was no study done. There was no analysis. There was no comparable information provided. And most of those people said, well, let's wait till next year when all that information is completed, compiled, and presented by the Board of Selectmen to the deliberative body. I would question whether that information has been put together. I haven't heard it. I haven't seen it. I've heard a selectman say, you're doing a good job, let's give them $5,000. And that was put in the operating budget, I believe, at that time. Then it was moved into an article that incorporated the raises for all the employees. Then the board that night voted of the public hearing to put it as a separate warrant article, and now apparently it's back in the operating budget. So there's a lot of inconsistency, there's a lack of a process, a lack of definition in terms of what justifies the 8,000. People at the deliberative session, maybe it should even be more. We won't know until somebody does a study. As far as I know, a study has not been done. And there should have been one done. Now, the other side of that is the raise that was given, or the salary adjustment was given to the finance director. It was done in the end of November. It was a 25% increase, roughly $13,000. On 11/25/2019, the board went into 3 non-publics. 2 of the non-publics, you describe what it was about. The third one, which I'm assuming was this raise, salary adjustment, you said nothing. And you said nothing the week after, you said nothing the week after that, the week after that, and the week after that. It took people to ferret that out in the operating budget that was presented at the public hearing. You can see there's a difference between the default number and the proposed number. I'm not arguing whether they deserve that raise or not. either one of the two individuals. I'm concerned about the lack of process, and the lack of visibility to the public as to what you're doing. It really is disappointing. I asked for the information through an email, which I believe you've all received copies of the data that was used to justify the increase for the Public Works Director. I think that's discoverable information. But I was told, no, you can't have it because we did it in non-public. You know what information was presented to you. Only you know what information was presented to you to justify that increase. The public does not know. You're spending my money, I think we deserve at least to have some information, some notice of what you've done. So it's really disappointing to go through this effort. Starting last year, we're trying to justify an increase for a Public Works Director. To get to this point, we are already given a raise to one individual, guaranteed that individual a raise next year regardless of what you get for a budget, because I'm assuming you have an obligation to that person. Whether it's verbal or however it was done, that person is making that salary now, today. There's a big difference between the two. You get one Public Works Director who's been put in the operating budget, no guarantee that that person's going to get that raise. There's no obligation on your part. If the voters approve the operating budget, then there is. But if we get a default budget, who's going to get their raise? One person's getting their raise. Thanks.
Any others? Okay. Thank you. Chief, you got anything? You wanna go home?
Yep.
I don't blame you. Have a wonderful night. Feel better.
See you Saturday.
Yeah.
Bring my own chair.
Okay.
Bring a mask too, if you could.
Office.
Okay. No mask?
You're not coming back recently from Wuhan, are you?
He left those papers. Chief?
Chief, you left some
Chief,
papers here.
you left some papers.
Yeah. Don't forget the Snell slip.
It's all right, he's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't pick on him.
I was already trained in medicine. Nice guy. All right, so let's continue the discussion on the facility use form. I think that the town hall usage sign was pretty cut and dry, that section of it. You know, again, I think that just sharing has seemed to work all along. I don't think we've had many issues with, say, competition of who's gonna have the sign, who's not. Seems like everybody works together. A little bit of planning, I think, on the assistant that puts it out, you know, the Karen. I think a little bit of planning on her side. I think she can you know, delegate as far as sharing the board. But the facility use form, again, I wasn't present when it was discussed of what to put in, what not to put in. I would agree with the people that came forward that $75 an event for these nonprofits is a little steep. Again, I propose a change, that if it's a continuous usage, you know, a reoccurring use, we'll say, once a week for 52 weeks, is $50 a month. And yet, like I said, that's a month. Obviously, if they use it if it's a reoccurring. Like I said, the fitness people,
times a week.
yeah, they're using it 2 times a week, $100 a month. And I think at the end of that, you know, when they submit, say, all right, they come in, and they come in the end of June for July. They give you $100. They've already been coming for the month of June. There's a $50 deposit already on hold with them. Just carry the $50 over.
Right.
I think, you know, part of it too. Yeah, you're right. I mean, whether they've got 5 people or 50 people come to their class,
Right.
they're putting money in their pocket.
Absolutely.
That's not for profit. So I
Right.
mean, I think we have to look at that.
Well-
Now you're looking at the non-for-profit, but I think we have to stick to it, that if you're not for profit, then supply us the paperwork.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
so I mean, you know, and unfortunately, I mean, yeah,
But even nonprofit, for-profit, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
the reoccurrings, they're not out to make a lot of money off the seniors.
They,
You know?
no, I should hope
Exactly.
not,
Yeah,
but,
they're not off to make a lot of money off
I
it.
mean,
Said
they do,
$8 to $12 per
they do
person.
more than,
That's
but I mean,
not
they do,
anything.
some of them, they just said, they do more than just seniors. They do seniors one time, and then the baby boomers the other time. So,
Oh.
I mean, who knows how
Right.
many they get. But I think you have to, you know, you have to hold it at such a standard that you can't go back and forth, because then it's, you know, you're gonna lose something someplace along the way, and we're gonna end up back where we started, right at ground zero again.
Right, but I mean, you've already heard it from the email and from the people
Yeah,
that
the
are here.
email's got me more confused than anything else, 'cause-
But the basis of what I'm saying is she's checked out.
Yep.
And I think if you go with these numbers, you're gonna have everybody, and you might as well close the doors and purge the pipes.
Yep.
And I don't wanna see that either.
No, I don't
So,
either.
and it sounded like, you know, again, it sounded like what I had proposed is $12.50 a session for the reoccurring users was not anything that they couldn't handle. I was getting getting the head nods from what I was seeing
Yep.
out there.
Right.
And again, at the end of just in the two ladies,
Right.
it's $2,400. I mean,
Right.
that's more than
That's
more
half-
than
that's
half of.
That's more
Yeah,
than
it's
what
about
we've been
half of
getting.
what we get.
Right.
I mean, who knows what the cost would be this year, because prices go up, electricity's
Well,
gone
and
up,
that's, and that's true too. But then you get the baby events and stuff like that are the one times. They're
Exactly.
$75 a piece,
Fill in.
plus the
quite a chunk.
$50 deposit, and you
And
know,
we're also, you know, what you've got to figure into this now, looking ahead, is that now we've got to figure out to have somebody, and whether, you know, I don't know who wants to step up to
Whether
do
it's-
that,
Well-
It
to
could
go
be-
over there and
it could be
actually
Kyle.
police it.
Could even be Kyle, our
Oh, he's not
building
here.
inspector.
Yeah, I don't,
But-
is he in Monday?
But it could be
Mondays.
shared. He's
Yeah, Mondays and half of Wednesdays.
he's in a vehicle. He's
Yep.
in a town vehicle. I mean, if he's not doing anything, take a buzz over there. But with that said,
It's not
by
getting
s-
cleaned.
By the sounds of it, we need to bring it up to a standard that's
Cleaner.
acceptable to begin with, anyways.
Right.
And we're not there.
It's gonna take some money.
Oh, I
That
understand. That.
bathroom is, I mean, the sulfur smell is because no one
Well,
uses the water.
And plus
That
the
is what
fact,
it
that
is.
the well is,
Can't do anything about that,
you know.
unless you
it's-
put a
it's-
filter in
it's-
line. It's the only way you get rid of
sulfur and
that.
iron in the water, so I mean, you're not gonna get rid of
Isn't
it.
that one on?
Yeah, we
The
test
library?
it. No, we test the water.
That-
Benji does.
That's on its own though.
That's on its own well.
Where's the wellhead?
I
Oh,
thought the
that-
well is the
oh,
one that
behind
comes
it.
out of
It's
the
the one
library.
with the library, right?
I thought it was the one with the library. I thought we figured that out when the pump died. That the stone
Yeah.
building, the town hall, and the library were all in the same pump, and that's
I
why we
think
had
it
to
is
get
the
such a
same
big one.
water.
Yeah, that's why we had to get
It's in
such a
that
big one, was because of that. But you got, what, 200 feet of run minimum of water that's gonna
Probably
sit there.
sets.
It probably sits. and-
Right, sometimes it does sit and nobody uses, I mean, think about if there's no event in there and I don't know how many men go to senior exercise or yoga.
Mhm.
But at the same time, the men's room could sit there without anybody using it.
Right, but and I
I think
understand
it's
it.
just, it's a stagnant smell.
I
Some of it, that's.
I think
But
that
if
you
we
can't
can keep
eliminate.
it active and keep people
Well, the
in
only
there,
thing you
then
can do is
maybe.
put a filter in line.
Yeah, you put some
Charcoal
kind of
filter.
charcoal filter, yeah, but regardless, I mean, that, and to me, that's small potatoes. We gotta
Right.
put an inline filter
Yeah,
for the whole
that's not-
building.
yeah,
That's
that's
not a whole
nothing.
lot, but that's one more thing you gotta maintain. Anyways, but I think that that's small potatoes in the big scheme of it, the fact that, you know, they gotta bring their own toilet paper.
But
That's pretty
well,
sad.
the other thing, yeah, and
Believe me.
they
Well,
don't,
all you gotta do is say something when you use the form.
Right, and I'm,
Yeah, if
I'm,
somebody's taking the last roll, let us know that there's no more toilet paper.
yeah,
in the
because
closet.
But they dropped the key out here and.
right.
But I know, but on the checklist form, we ask for conditions that need attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't tell me there's no toilet paper because you don't use the checklist, then I mean, I'm not saying, there's gotta be a little responsibility both ways.
I'm not saying that
You
there,
know,
that
I
there
think
hasn't
if-
been
if
expressed in the
there's-
last.
Right, and
mean-
I understand the whole trash thing, because I know we've experienced that too.
Yeah.
Is because they figure the next person will use it, I didn't use it much, and, you know, there's some nasty things that get thrown in the trash.
yeah, I mean, I policed it a couple times, and out on the back stoop where you come in the back behind the stage, there's baby diapers and a bunch of other non-mentionables thrown right on the stairs. I mean, and nobody's picked it up. I mean, there's trash on the side stairs.
It must be somebody that's not too,
Yeah, I mean,
Well, and
but, and I mean, be that as it may, but the other thing is the bottom line of it. We are paying somebody to clean. and they're supposed to go over there, what, once a week?
But we were also, keep in mind, last year you alternated and she went once a month because we split her with Benji.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So
we
she
split
went
that
over there
usage.
once a month.
Right.
And the other time she
But I
went to
mean,
Benji.
we have somebody cleaning, and I mean, so, okay,
That's
so,
not much after the use, I guess.
no, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
it's
we have
heavily
to,
used.
we have to pay more attention to that, so. I
Or we
guess we have
gotta,
to
or we gotta up that line to.
up the ante on it,
or
that's what I
bring,
think.
to bring that service around more.
Yeah, at least
you
once
know.
a week.
But I think at this point, I think that on that checklist, if we can utilize that
Right.
as a, I mean,
As a
obviously,
guide to find out how much,
to go through it just right now, just go through it now. Take our checklist and go through it ourselves, and go over there and go, all right, well, this isn't done, this isn't clean, and blah, 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 and bring it up to said standard that we're requiring
Yep.
before, somebody even walks in there. I mean,
Well, there's been continual use.
I'm not,
I mean, again,
Right.
we had, I don't know who's got keys.
right.
I mean, and that key, that wasn't even addressed. These girls have keys.
I think that's something we have to address, is we have to change the locks, because we don't know who's got keys to what and
Yeah,
where.
I think
Just have
at this
to
point, we have to
rekey 'em, you don't
restart.
have
And,
to change the
yeah, but I
lock.
mean, rekey them, and at that point in time,
Start
then
over.
the key goes out, and you sign for it, and it's got a number, and then you,
That, yeah.
and,
But
you
I,
know.
but I think that currently, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think currently we'll probably have a better oversight over that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm saying it's
Well,
been,
that's the
the
big
whole
thing.
month of January, it's been continued to use nonstop that we don't even know what key anybody has.
We don't even know who's in there half the
Right,
time.
Needs to be rekeyed and
Yeah.
then give them
Closer control of who's in there.
new keys.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. Again, and I think that we need to, now that we've heard, and like I said, it should have been reported, it hasn't been. At this point, here we are today, it's water under the bridge. We need to get our facility, town's facility, up to said standard to utilize, whether it's, have the floors mopped up. I mean, it's gonna be a one-time expenditure as far as I'm concerned. To go in there, completely do whatever we have to do to bring it up to a standard that it can be utilized as a function hall, 100%.
Yeah, you gotta do
full
something
boat.
to the men's bathroom, it's leaked all over.
So it's gonna be.
So I think you need a new floor in there, to be honest with you.
Well,
It's
it is
awful.
what it is.
what it is the seal on the toilet, I think, is
Leaking,
Okay,
wax
well,
seal.
we have a problem, we need to have it fixed.
Yeah.
Um,
We have a plumbing,
Because there was a complaint about this toilet seat cover being broke. Kyle went over, checked it out, and it was just a matter of tightening it up. It
And
was
that's
just
fine,
loose.
exactly, but at least it was documented and it
Right.
came back.
So we sent him over.
Yeah, but I'm thinking if we can bring it up to that said standard,
Yep.
and then we, we can actually put this into full effect, have a little bit better oversight going on over there.
Yep.
I think after weekend events, I think that we can have Kyle go over and take it and run down the checklist. If it comes down to it, we'll have to have somebody else go over there.
Well, he's here all day Monday.
Right, I understand that, but, I mean.
And that's typically is when you get your Friday, Saturday,
Because
Sunday.
by the sounds of it, the people that were here were pretty responsible.
Well, they're on the floor all the time, too, so
Exactly,
want
so
it
they
clean.
want it clean, so I think they're pretty responsible, so I don't think you gotta worry about these. It's the one-timers, the 75, no.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
the
And
one-timers that we
I
have
think
to
the other
issue
thing
with.
too is that, I mean, yes, they're pretty responsible, but they shouldn't be buying the rubber pads to go
No,
on
but
those,
it goes to
that
show,
should be
and I-
coming
and I-
back to us,
and
and
I-
we're not.
But I
we don't even know
appreciate,
about
I
it. We
appreciate,
appreciate that they do it. but
the
it shouldn't
Schaefer
really come
doing
out of
that,
them.
Right.
because obviously we'd be, have
Damaging
this
the floors.
damage in the floor more than it already is, so I greatly appreciate
Yep.
that.
Oh, yeah,
But,
but I mean,
Probably should
I
have
feel
somebody
bad that it
come
shouldn't
in
come out of
with
their
a
pocket.
waxer and the whole thing.
Yeah, it'd be nice to
buff up the floors.
But again, at the end of the day, like Naomi says, it all comes back to this. It's all gonna cost money to get it up to
Yep.
speed. So, I hate to say it, but bring it up to the bare minimum, again.
I mean, the other thing.
Murphy's
yeah.
oil the floor, make it look like.
Well, we can have the
decent.
floor buffed. We've done that before, because they do it here after the winter and all the
Who's they?
salt's been on it. The lady that does our cleaning
Okay.
has a buffer machine.
Yeah, okay.
So
What
you
about
could
the
have it buffed.
correctional people? Would they,
I'd have to rent
I
a
don't think
buffer and the whole thing.
I don't think I know if I trust them with a buffer over there. It's not,
Really?
not
not
exactly
gonna-
their forte, I'll say.
They're not gonna hurt that floor. That floor really needs to be sanded
I
down
mean,
and
I thought they
refinished
did
at
these
this point.
floors at one time.
Well, regardless, I think we know what we need to do. We need to get the hall up to a standard that we all feel comfortable with loaning it.
Yep.
Right.
Whether that's replacing the floor in the men's bathroom with maybe, maybe not with hardwood, but maybe with a tile type thing, or a laminate, whatever. But it sounds like we have a floor issue over there, we have a toilet issue, we have a seal issue. You know, the place needs a thorough cleaning. If it's a one-time expenditure of a couple $100 to clean it and give it a full, full clean out, then it is what it is, if you ask me. But, at that point, I think, and the other thing is these fees, I mean, how we changing this? Are we doing it by motion?
Well, I guess I would ask you, when you say you needed to bring it up to a standard, is that before we use it?
I would
Like,
say.
do we stop using it and have somebody come in and clean it?
No, but I think we need to have it clean. We need
It's
to
soon.
have it clean.
Soon, yeah.
Yeah. We need to be proactive with
Should
that.
we have Kyle go over there and
Estimate
make a
the
list
damage.
of what needs to be done?
In the bathroom
Yeah,
especially.
I think that'd probably be a good idea. Yep. Yep, exactly, especially in the bathrooms and according to our list, et
And if we have a
cetera.
leak over there, then who's our contract plumbing?
Plumber,
Well,
whoever.
Grand State,
Grand State.
that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
I have one other thing, though. I think this woman that does the,
Wait.
The weights?
no, the
Scrapbooking?
scrapbooking, I think you should reach out to her and see if we're given $12.50 or $25 a week for the, 2 times a week for the yoga thing, maybe we say $25 a day or something. I mean, it's too bad to push some small group out like that, I think.
Or even $25 a weekend.
Something.
What are they paying now?
Probably
It's a
40.
reoccurring, yeah, but probably
but was she
$40 for the
paying
year though,
40
right?
Paying
a
$40
weekend?
for the year.
A
I don't
year,
know.
Yeah.
for the
I don't
year.
remember.
No, but she was paying $560, right?
No, she said at $40 an event, the total would be $560.
Right, and that's way
Okay.
above what they can,
$40 a month.
yeah,
It's way above what they can afford.
right.
I mean, you hate to push a small group like that out.
Well,
But
it's usually your girls from this town.
Yeah,
But I
no.
think
Right.
I think it's in line consistent, like the 1250, 25. I mean, and to me, it's still
And she could do it $12.50, I mean, Friday, Saturday, Sunday would be a $37.50 weekend.
Right.
Saturday, Sunday would be a $50 weekend.
right. And no,
Not
No, not
50,
50.
it'd be 2. It'd be
it'd be
25.
It'd be 25.
Well, I was
That's
doubling
all
the
right.
money on you.
And we'll just
trying to give us
you know
more.
because of the length of time that they've been utilizing it, we'll extend that same offer out to them that we're offering to the other ones of $12.50
Yeah, I
a
think you have to be
session.
fair to everyone.
You gotta
Yeah.
be- You gotta be somewhat consistent.
I think that's consistent.
You have to.
That
Yeah,
small groups.
with the
and-
usage of that.
I've
So-
been to that.
Will be some
Yeah.
confusion.
20,
going on with
25
them.
bucks.
The
or
other thing, and the only other thing that makes me a little nervous is with the share weights,
yeah,
I don't have,
doesn't have any.
no insurance. Somebody drops one of those on their head, who's gonna pay for it?
Yeah, but do we require a binder with people doing a baby shower? I'm just asking. Do
No.
we? Then
No, but this is something else that somebody, you are now looking at somebody, it's like doing
Yeah.
Zumba.
You could implement it.
It's like Zumba or something, that just makes me nervous. I mean, we have it there.
she's got insurance.
I don't
They've got
disagree.
insurance.
Yeah, they've got insurance, so I mean, why,
Two of them do.
the two of them do, but you have the other one,
the
which
white
is
one,
just
yeah.
as bad, you lift
Quilters?
that weight up over your head
Do the
and it
quilters?
slips.
are the scrapbookers? Do they have anything?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean-
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
It's a
They-
question.
they
But I'm
can't-
looking at
I've
something that's
gone.
more physically that we could end up in
But
trouble.
scrapbooking, I don't know
You're
what
not
it
doing
is, but I
anything.
think
You're just
you sit
sitting at a table.
don't you?
Yeah, you
Well-
just sit at a table with and maybe paste and cut
Yeah,
out.
pasting
and-
pictures and
It's
stuff
not
like
like
that.
doing
In a
this.
picture book, you're just putting pictures
all
in
have,
books.
Yeah, but we all have moments of having two left feet and falling over each other. So
Yeah, but that's,
But I
that's
mean,
why.
what I'm looking at
But-
is that somebody does this and they come back and they sue us.
well, but that's what I'm saying is we all have moments of two left feet and we all fall down. Some of us.
And
come
I don't
back
wanna
as
see
well.
that either, because then we're the ones that get stuck.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, or they,
Yeah, but then again, somebody went to for a baby shower and the same thing, or a
they come
Right.
in big and they
birthday
can't see their
party,
feet.
or anything you
They,
can
they
call.
come in big and they leave
They come
small.
in big and they can't see.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, do you sign, a waiver of liability?
Yeah.
I mean, with
maybe
the
sign a
form, with the
waiver.
form. If you
But I
don't
think-
have insurance, you have to have the waiver of
But I
liability.
think everybody that's occupying should sign it.
That's what I'm saying, everybody.
Everybody that,
Well, yeah, but you're gonna have everybody that's at the baby shower sign it?
Yep, no, you have the people who are running it sign it, and
Sign
they're
it.
responsible for everybody that's in there.
All right.
And
the
it's,
event.
have it spelled out that way.
Okay. Drafted by our town attorney.
Yep.
Okay.
Or Primex, they'll give, Primex probably has them right on file.
So, is there anything in here, and I just haven't seen it because I haven't, hold on, maybe there it is right there.
What?
Use of the town building will be authorized by the selectmen. Can we add under the second paragraph, at the end, it says approved by the board, period. Any and all uses are subject to individual review by the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I'm thinking of the scrapbookers.
Yeah.
Just, we have a rapport, well, we have a 14-year rapport with them.
Yeah,
you know,
no
and
question.
we're cutting them the break because they've been here. We're giving them that
The other
discount.
thing too, it's good for is because, we had the yoga class, that's changed hands.
Yeah.
No, I'm not disagreeing
And I
with
mean,
that.
it should be reviewed, that we know we're up to speed as to who's in there, who's running this, and
What
what's
they're
going
doing,
on.
Right.
yeah.
Because right now, they come in, oh yeah, well, so-and-so was running it till this year, and I go,
Yeah.
oh, and I took it over, and I'm going, oh, okay, well,
That's what happened here.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, so I mean, oh, okay, so
Application's gonna be
what's the game plan?
190.
We don't have, now we have a whole different set of
Mm-hmm.
facts and circumstances, and like you said,
Ricky, what did you add to?
the key got passed around.
I didn't,
and-
just the second paragraph. It says,
Any and
with
all.
following regulations governing their use as approved by the board. Any and all uses are subject to Board of Selectmen review.
Users,
Yeah,
Users,
The
yeah.
second paragraph.
yeah.
I don't know.
On a case by case.
Which form are you,
Facility use.
Yeah.
The second paragraph, not the second line.
no, second
Oh,
paragraph.
I was
bullet
looking at
two.
number 2.
Yeah,
I
not
was-
bullet two.
Yeah.
No.
Second
No.
paragraph, just at the end of the last sentence.
Yeah.
there.
use of the town buildings, grounds, equipment, facilities will be authorized by the Board of Selectmen in conformity with the following regulations governing their use.
Yeah, and then I want to add after that, that any and all uses,
Users,
yeah,
subject to
To-
review.
to individual, or case-by-case review by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, again, and the perfect example that comes up to me would be the scrapbookers. Because again, they've been coming for 14 years or whatever, we don't, we as a consensus have already kind of said, well, we don't want to really charge them $75 a weekend.
They can't.
We want to give them the $12.50 a day type thing. And I think that should be something that's on there and very clear that we have the authority, I don't say authority, but we will review cases like said, and, maybe I'm just gonna throw it because of, I don't know, there's a Lego group out there that's not run facilitated by the school, and they want to meet every Sunday there and play with Legos. I would say we extend if they're gonna be there 52 weeks a year, we extend the $12.50 thing to them.
So you want another sentence that says any and all uses are subject to case-by-case review by the board?
Yes,
Okay.
I would think so.
Okay.
And then in your fees, you're gonna change that around. So you're gonna leave number 3, 75 event
50.
plus 50
Yes.
for,
Yeah.
and then are you gonna get rid of this whole nonprofit thing? Or what are you
Yes.
doing?
I
wouldn't get rid of it
I wouldn't get rid of it, no.
Because if
I-
they charge,
I would
then
keep
if
the
they
first
charge a
sentence.
fee, then, okay.
Yeah, the second was, we threw it in from Milford.
Nonprofit groups request.
There is no such thing as a fee waiver.
What I would do is I would just strike, so it would read, nonprofit groups must provide documentation of their nonprofit status as part of the application process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Official and state documentation. And then custodial fees are required for all profit and nonprofit functions.
Okay, so what are you doing with one of them that's?
The first, the nonprofit here, you want to take that one off?
The lady that does the
Nonprofits
senior-
charging a
She's a
fee?
she said she doesn't have
She
nonprofit
doesn't have a
status.
nonprofit.
She doesn't have nonprofit status, so she'd be, to me, the individual.
Nonprofits charging a fee to
Yeah,
attend the
but-
function will be charged a fee for hall rental.
Yeah.
But she's not a confirmed nonprofit.
No,
No,
I'm
no, no,
saying,
but
I'm-
say, what do you
I
want to
would
do?
strike that line.
What do you
leave
want to
it-
The
do with a
weight.
nonprofit? Most people that are nonprofits are trying to raise money because that's the only way they
Yeah,
have.
that's the way they substant,
So
yeah.
do you want to charge them like $12.50 for an event, if they have a 2-hour event
Charge
there?
a-
Yeah,
no,
but
they're
we
there
try
for
to-
the,
these
if they're
people are
renting it.
nonprofit, isn't that where they fell in?
Sounds like it, but doesn't sound like they're making a lot of money either. I mean,
No.
nonprofit status is anything under $50,000.
Well, they have to have the paperwork
No.
to.
Right, but I think that they should supply that, but I think that, you know, I can't remember her name, but,
Valerie?
yeah, she doesn't have a nonprofit status.
Right.
She's
No,
just,
she's a business. She said she's registered with the state, she's paying.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
for the lawn, she does
Oh,
lawn
for the
care.
lawn care.
Oh, the lawn care.
that's something different.
Oh,
No,
okay.
she
I
does-
thought, I mean, I
she
was
does
talking to the
she
woman
does-
here for the.
No,
the-
she
the
does,
other two.
she does the weights
Yeah.
as a.
The weight
you know,
training, yeah.
As a, by the sounds of it, as a, you can donate basis.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, it's nonprofit. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not a profit
No, it's
status.
an event.
To me, it would be an individual
Individual, right, having,
that would require the waiver, the liability waiver,
yeah.
you know?
And at
What's
that
her fee?
point,
But what's her fee?
What's her fee? That's the next question.
$12.50 a class?
Reoccurring, that would be up to us, with that provision line that I just put out.
she's there, what, twice a week?
Yeah.
She said, yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays
Tuesdays and
and Thursdays?
Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 hour a day.
Yeah, but, I mean, you
That's
start,
what they
you
all
start
are.
adding all these 1250s up from all the users, I mean, it sounds like we got about 5 days worth of use a week. So
If they're
1250
there every time, yeah.
Right,
Who
but
knows?
1250 times 5 times 52, that adds up real quick. You know? I mean, that's 3250 right there, we almost covered all the,
$60.
and that's before any baby showers or weddings or anything like that.
The other thing is, then at that point, at this point in time, we gotta start keeping better track of what it's costing
Right.
us for that building.
Right, but, and the other side is too, is again, you know, she's bringing out the seniors that can't afford a consistent class such as the others provide.
Right.
You know, so I don't wanna, like Sherry said, I don't wanna clamp on that either.
You don't want to push
No.
anybody out.
Right, so I think that's a fair offer, you know? And again, I think that line that we put in at the end of that second paragraph at the top allows us to do what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is extend that to $12.50 rule. But I think that's a good number. I'm glad Jillian
Yeah.
brought that up, is the fact that, you know, she says she pays anywhere from $10 to $15. Well, $12.50 is right up the middle, and that
Right.
was a number I came up with
Exactly.
before she even walked up there.
Yep.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a fair number per event. And again, if that's
For reoccurring.
if that facility's used 5 days a week, as you know, they've all clearly said that it's used, that's $3,250 before we even put a baby shower in there.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So how do you want to list that here for?
well, I think that, like I said, I think we strike
Somehow put $12.50.
$12.50 per
event,
class.
per event.
Per session.
Per session, I would
Yeah,
say. I
per-
would say event.
well,
It's
I would,
a
a session, yeah.
For reoccurring,
Yeah,
you know, every week.
for reoccurring, I don't, what do you want to call them? I won't say agencies, but for reoccurring
Class.
Class. It's classes.
Oh,
They give-
yeah.
Events.
events.
I don't know if it's an event, it's more like a,
Well, but before you get it, I mean,
For
again, I'll go back to my topic, the Lego thing. That's not a session, that's not a class. But if they wanted to do it every Sunday, what would you call that?
Event.
Use.
a reoccurring use.
I would call it reoccurring use.
Yeah.
And just
I
leave it
would-
at
I wouldn't
that.
call it an event, events.
Right,
like
I would
the
just
one
leave
deal.
it at reoccurring event.
And then, so we're gonna have a reoccurring use
Fee.
fee at $12 a session.
$12.50 a session.
Cents
50 a
per
session.
session, yeah.
Yep.
So are we still going to charge nonprofits if they ask for, you know, if they put a program on and they ask for a $5
Yeah.
entrance? What are you going to charge?
I would think that yes, we still charge them that $12.50.
They're charging-
$12.50, is that what it's going
Even
to
if they're
be?
charging
Well-
$5 a head for their event, like we've all discussed here, is the fact that they're looking to cover their costs and try and promote whatever they're doing,
Well,
so,
make some money, yeah.
you know.
So 12,
Plus the,
Yeah,
Plus
but
the
not too
$50
many
deposit.
Deposit,
nonprofits do
cleaning
that. I mean, we
deposit.
don't
So if it-
charge, like
yeah.
for our programs.
no, but like, we don't.
No.
But I'm just saying, like, say, bingo, they charge. You go in
Yeah,
and
but they
you.
don't, but they don't go here.
No, but I'm just saying if somebody else wanted to use it, and
Yeah,
I just wanted to make it clear so we don't have to come back and revisit
Yeah,
it.
no, I think the $12.50 for the recurring is a
Yeah.
good, is a good price.
Okay.
I mean, I get, like you said,
Oh, I agree
if
with
4,000 was a rough number that we didn't track so well, then,
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
we
we've
need to track
covered,
it and.
we've covered
for
most
a
of that.
year and-
so it's 20, you
Next
know, if they do
January,
it twice a week,
revisit
it's
it.
$25 a week.
So where do I put the reoccurring use fee? At the end of the custodial fees or before it?
I don't, because I don't think we have to, I don't think we have to break it out by month. I think it's just, non-profit groups, person.
$12.50 per event.
If it's a reoccurring,
Yeah, probably.
reoccurring use.
Probably after the documentation parenthesis, reoccurring events or users will be charged $12.50 per event.
Per use.
Session.
per session.
Per session.
Per session. And then custodial fees are required for all profit and nonprofit functions. But I think.
We could probably, and for people like the class that's doing that, you'd say a $50 deposit. Well, is that for each one? Or
I
no?
would say it's
I
for the
was gonna
year.
say-
I
The
would,
year.
I would say
put it
where it's
down.
reoccurring, you know.
I would say
Just leave
month.
the $50.
I would say a month.
A month.
I would say month, because, you know, for the odd time out that something happens,
Yeah.
and preferably with them, and the reason I say it's because it's gonna go month to month is cash. That way their check's not sitting there for a year
Right.
with a date that expires in 180 days,
No.
you know, unless we have to renew it.
So you were asking for a
Well, if they send a
monthly
deposit for a month,
refundable cleaning deposit of $50 in cash?
It should just stay on the books if everything stays good.
no, it's-
You
if
just hang on to
if
the
it's- if
$50
it's a
for
month,
the
you go
year,
and
right?
inspect it at the end of the month,
What
you
I'm
give
saying
me
is-
$50 back. Or you have them roll it over.
So
Roll it
they,
over.
so they, yeah, but how do you roll over a check that's only good for 180 days?
No, cash.
Just have them give you another one.
All right, well, whatever, I mean,
For them.
I don't really care, I'm just thinking $50 is easy, in cash is easier, because if it'll roll every month, then you don't have to worry about having a new check cut.
Right.
I mean,
my
I think
thought.
that's.
It doesn't
$50
have to be
It
cash.
doesn't have to, just leave it at $50.
Just leave it at
because it'll
$50
get too
and let,
confusing.
yeah, and let them decide what they're
It
gonna,
could end
how
up
they're
being a
gonna pay it.
bookkeeping
Yeah.
They can
nightmare.
leave it set for
Yeah.
close to 3 months and then,
And then pull
void
it,
it and
and void
write
it, and write
another
another
one.
one.
Yep.
Yep, there you go. Yep,
So what are we leaving it? Just leave it?
just leave it.
Yep.
Let
them decide
Let
what they
them be
want
the
to do.
stewards of what they wanna do with their money, and how they wanna give it to us.
Yeah.
So how does that paragraph reads, well, I'm just asking, nonprofits charging a fee to attend their function will be charged a fee for the hall rental.
Yep.
Nonprofit groups must provide documentation of their nonprofit status as part of the application process, official federal or state documentation.
And I have reoccurring users will be charged $12.50 a session.
Custodial fees are required.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, in the sense of clarity, we have to put a number on it, because at the top of it says $50 refundable cleaning deposit.
I'd leave it the same, but.
But but is
You're
that
also doing it on a case-by-case basis.
just for the what was requested at the public hearing of clarity?
So the clarity would be for
I would
those
say-
groups that are reoccurring, that are there constantly,
Yeah,
Monthly.
I would just put,
it'd be $50 a month.
I would just reiterate, actually, how about we strike that line, the custodial fees required,
we have
and
two
then just
different
put,
things we're
and
talking
put a $50 refundable cleaning deposit will be required. And that way there it's clear.
Okay.
Between custodial fees, well, what are those? Are they paying every time that she goes over there? I don't know. Yeah, to me, it's clarity. It's
Clearing.
Yes,
yeah,
I agree.
custodial.
I didn't like the
Cleaning
two
fee.
different.
Yeah, it's,
So it's just like the up above, instead it says reoccurring users will be charged at $12.50 a session plus $50 refundable cleaning deposit.
correct.
Right.
Yes, it's painful, I understand that, but again, I kinda wanna get
Cleaned
this, I
up.
wanna get it cleaned up and get,
So you can
and
get,
and
go
get it clear.
forward, yeah.
And just get it clear. We had a couple of comments about 14. I think we can probably leave that the way it is.
Oh, it can be looked at each,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do a case by case.
It's case by case,
Yeah.
and that's just it, and that
I
one
mean,
line in that second paragraph kinda
I'm
gives
not
us
sure,
that.
you'd be hard pressed to
We're not gonna have two.
deny an 18-year-old, whereas the law says they can
Do what they
those
want.
certain
Well, it's just it,
things.
they can't rent a car, but they can rent the town hall. So,
Okay.
and then we had a comment about the activities at midnight.
Maybe you should put that back to 11 o'clock instead of midnight. Because you got people right next door living there.
Has there been a complaint yet? I'd
Because
say,
I don't think anybody
Nobody
stays there till
I don't think it'll stay
midnight.
that late.
I
so
don't think anybody's.
I don't
been
think
in
it's that big of an issue. Now, with that said, there was a comment brought also about the gazebo.
Yeah.
Now, the one activity I could think of that would be there is if somebody, say a local, local group, wanted to have a concert there. They'd be plugging in, using the power for their amps and stuff like that, so does that fall back to this facility use form?
It says it does.
Well,
listed on the
exactly,
back.
but, you know, I'm not saying like the old home days, I mean, it's
Yeah,
up
we
there,
use it
it's up there
once-
doing its thing, but it's a once a year.
Once a year.
But, you know, I mean,
No, you're absolutely right, because I know that they've had like a block dance over there.
and they're plugged in,
Yeah.
so
I think
is
if
that
we
a
gotta-
use,
I mean-
you know?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I think that right there would fall under that line in that second paragraph, that we review it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. And on the form, I think it should say Town Hall Ball Fields, on the third page. In that little tiny block under location, it says Town Hall Ball Fields gazebo area in Chase Park. And I think, again, you look at it
Okay, yeah.
as to what's being
And
requested
I think you
for
probably
use.
ought to put that right at the very top
And
of
big
this
letters.
whole thing.
Maybe in bigger
For
letters.
community use facilities, and put it right at the very top. I mean, you know, and that way it's spelled out, this form is to be used for any of those. I mean, how many times have they had like, oh, we'd like to use that, we have a family reunion, we wanna use Chase Park and have a cookout up there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but they don't allow
Not-
that,
not
do
that
they,
they-
during
not-
the season, do they?
No, but before season and after
before the
season.
season,
you know.
sometimes
Fall.
they've used it up there, there's
We
groups
have,
of,
we have a request for sunrise Easter service up there.
there's been also a request to go up there and, you know, have a camp out overnight or a,
Yep.
Yeah, the Boy Scouts used to do it.
yeah,
How about if we just stick it right there?
right.
Where?
Yeah, up
What
at
did
the
you do?
top,
Application 4, and then
Oh.
stick it right there.
town hall,
Yeah, there
yeah,
you go.
that's what I think. Think
I mean, the
that's
other
good.
thing too is
Town Hall Ball
I think,
Yeah.
Fields.
Box.
Yeah.
you know, I think the other thing
And
we
get rid
gotta
of it
define a
under
little
there.
better is reoccurring, so it's
No.
every week,
Yeah.
not, you know, reoccurring, okay, twice a year, no.
No.
that's-
But I can see why it says, you know, why it would say gazebo area, because, you know, you don't want somebody saying, oh yeah, let's have, like you said, let's have a shindig on the gazebo area on the Patriotic Celebration weekend. Sorry, you're out.
But didn't I?
Or Old Home Days, you're out.
Didn't you get a hold of
know.
Parks and Rec for me? Because last year when we did the Old Home Day, wanted to make
That's
sure
who
we
used
were
to
all
have
set
the,
using the
cameras.
area across
Yep,
the road. Does Parks and Rec
that would-
center
that
into
would've
that
been-
gazebo area somehow?
Well, the gazebo belongs to us, but typically, and I think we should work together, just like the ball fields are done through Parks and Rec.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think there just needs to be some, work together
Yeah.
on
Oh, no.
Chase Park, gazebo, town hall, just so we're on the same
The
page.
ball fields at
But if you
times.
all take all the applications here, you have one person to see
That's
what's
gonna
going
look
on.
at that,
Yeah.
right?
And then she can funnel the ball fields to Parks and Rec for facility use, because that's when they all get together. But I think, I mean, if we had a request from Chase Park or the gazebo area,
Town
you
should be
have
able to do
one
it.
funnel is
Right
right
here.
here, it's our facilities.
Pass it off.
Then Karen would make note of it or make a copy and pass it on. And I think you have one person at the point, and I think that's where things get carried away. You know, it was like, oh, I throw it in Parks and Rec box, and then nobody looks at it for months. So I just
Or
think
either that, they get
if we
one
can
and-
find, stream it, you know,
But-
streamline it.
You know,
You
and,
could
and,
probably make a spreadsheet too of all the different things, and then at the end of the year, it'd be a
and I
lot
hate to
easier
throw
when you
a
come
screwdriver
down
in the
to.
gear here, but, you know, if they're using the gazebo area, there's really nothing overhead-wise there.
Electricity.
Electricity,
Electricity, yeah.
not much,
But
it's not
is
much.
it $75 worth of electricity?
No.
No.
I would hold a $50 deposit, because if we gotta send somebody over there to clean up all the litter
Trash.
from.
Well, if they break something.
Yeah,
Trash.
I would hold that 110%, but 75 might be a little expensive for a gazebo.
Well, just like at Chase Park, if they wanna use the beach
I don't know
area
what it-
just
Yeah.
for that or the pavilion, they have to
think,
bring all their own stuff anyway.
Right, but if they
Exactly.
leave it a dump,
I wonder
then,
what it was,
then we
to-
get
I
the
can't remember
$50,
what it
but-
was to rent the gazebo in Sunapee for one-shot use.
I mean, I
How
would
much
think,
was that?
I would think 20 bucks would cover the
20
Chase
or 20
Park or,
25 bucks.
yeah, I mean,
$75 to rent the gazebo at Lake Sunapee.
Who was
That's-
crazy and paid that?
Say that again?
but, I mean, I'm just
But
thinking.
I think your idea
But I
of
mean,
case by
yeah, I
case
mean, and that
review,
was- that was-
typically you have to,
Yeah.
the other thing is, first come, first serve. Um,
But I, you know,
and I will tell you that I think it's first come, first serve paid.
Yeah, well,
We get,
absolutely.
we get people that, like I said, we're gonna have to bill these people
Yep.
that have been using it without paying us.
Mhm.
You know, the groups that were here have been continued to use it all the month of January, we didn't even know. Cause there was
Well,
keys, God only knows
I don't know
where.
about this billing back back thing, because we have.
Somebody
it's-
had it for
I think we just
weekend.
ought to cut our losses
Okay.
and start from
Start
ground
from-
zero. Because,
That's
I mean,
what I
you start
agree
billing
with.
them, then we're gonna chase them if they don't pay.
Right.
So we're.
Well, no, it's.
They've gotta come in
it's
and
the
give
con-
you, they've gotta come in and pay once a
No,
month.
we haven't heard from a lot of them. We've heard from a few of them.
So I
They
think,
just continued to take their key and go over
Well, I
there.
think rekeying
How
and
much
then
do
make
they
them come in
pay?
and.
No,
I think
No.
rekeying it, you know, we get the
They've
locksmith.
never, they've continued on, never
Well,
skipped a beat for the whole month of January.
Yeah, but,
No,
what
I
did they pay?
understand, but what, how much did they pay?
I have no idea.
And we didn't have a fee, I mean, so therefore
Well,
they
there's
can
been
come
a
after
fee,
us
but-
and
There's been
say,
a
we
fee.
do
Oh, no, there's
now.
always
Been
been
a
this
fee.
fee back here, down the bottom.
Yeah, but I don't know, did they pay that fee?
We don't
I
know.
have no clue.
Yeah, I don't know
My
either.
guess is it was $80.
You
Maybe.
think?
Well, you think about 31 times.
Yeah,
You
no.
use it twice a
year,
month, twice a week.
Two, yeah.
I mean,
Eight.
I'm in favor of just cutting our losses and starting.
Yeah, starting from ground zero.
Start-
Sure,
start
February
from
they're paying,
This is a big heat month.
And then,
Big heat month.
yeah, big
Yeah.
heat month.
I say.
and then, they turn around.
Just
and-
because of it's gonna be all, it's gonna be scattered as far as,
And
well,
then
I
rekey
paid
it.
it, but do we have any evidence of it? No. We don't have any evidence of it.
rekey it, and then that way we.
That I
That's
agree
not
with.
easy to do.
Huh?
That's a trip to Concord and
Well, no.
all the aggravate. Yes, it is for that lock over there.
Which
It
law?
was in Adams Lock and Key.
Oh, yeah, but they'll come out and rekey it.
Okay,
Well,
I'll try it.
yeah, see if they will.
Okay.
See
I
if they
mean, I know they've come out and done stuff before, so
Okay.
rekey those locks, and that way it's a,
Well, no, Chip always used to run everything into Concord.
yeah, well,
Yeah, well, I think that was.
I think that was more like,
Get out of town. Just saying. So,
Really?
but I think we rekey it, start over.
Yep.
Don't have so many keys, because we don't need to have 30 keys for it. I think 10 is more.
So what do you
enough.
do with these people? They get a key forever?
No.
no.
They get,
I know, I
they get a
what,
key and the
how are they
first
gonna
time
get
they
a
don't
key?
pay, you call
Once you
them up.
they
rekey,
get
once
the
you
key
rekey
every
it, their
week,
key
they-
is done.
Huh?
Once you rekey
But-
it, their key is done.
They should prepay a month ahead,
But we just said we have keys out that we have no idea who has them.
Right.
so
How many,
So we need
how
to
many
re-
have been
So
copied?
even
Well,
if,
the yoga and the senior exercise have got keys.
Yeah.
right, but if they turn theirs in,
and get a new
we
key.
know that we still have people out there with keys, right?
Yeah, they won't be able to get in.
Okay, so a question has been asked. If you're gonna skip January, then we owe the yoga lady, because she's paid for January, the other one has not.
Well, maybe you should let the other one know then, if they've already paid.
Because Zumba hasn't signed up yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of confusion out there, who's paid, who hasn't. So there's one that has paid.
So, one is paid, but I
Okay,
mean,
it's paid.
anybody that we're not sure of, there's no sense in going after them.
She's the only one that's paid, so if Zumba's gonna start up in February,
Or March, yeah.
March,
Yeah.
so.
So
she's
she'll
not-
pay, but
she'll
the
pay.
senior exercise Tuesdays and Thursdays hasn't paid.
And we just still don't know what to do with her anyway, do
Oh, you
we?
did, well,
Yeah, we're.
$12.50.
We're gonna,
$12.50.
Okay.
we're gonna extend at that rate, yeah.
But then I think she should pay unless we're gonna reimburse yoga and give her the month. What do you wanna do? Do you
Well, I mean,
wanna,
if she used it, that's.
already
Used
used
it, she's paid it,
Yeah.
so I'd say let her go.
no, there's one that's used it and not paid, the one that's used it and paid. So what are you gonna do?
Right.
Or who
Well, if
didn't
there's
use
one
it?
that's, then we ought
The,
to,
the one that does weightlifting,
that,
It has not paid.
right.
Yeah, but
That's it.
that's the way it's been all along anyway. The one with weightlifting is never paid, this one has.
so these two
Oh,
have
no,
paid.
Valerie's paid before in prior times.
What,
Oh, she
once a
has?
year?
Yeah.
Oh,
A
what did
once
she
a year
pay?
donation?
I don't know what she's paid. I'm guessing that it was $80. I could find that out tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Let's
They
find
all
out.
have paid. It's just,
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
who paid what.
All right, well, let's see if we can find that out. Let's see if we
Okay.
can find out who paid what. And then we'll make a decision on the month of January next week.
$80.
Okay. But we'll figure out who's paid what, and we'll come up with a plan
Yep,
as far as for next meeting.
yep,
What to do with the money-only aspect of January.
yep.
And then whether it's a couple free months, whatever. But, like I said, I mean, to me, we can implement this tonight, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And we can go from there. So, I think, but that's just me.
So let me ask
I
you though, the
agree.
keys, just to be straight. So they're gonna come and get a key every day.
no, I'd give them the key, but I'd give them a numbered key.
Or either that
So you
they
know
turn-
who's got what number.
I think the current record-keeping system will be a lot better. So we'll be starting with fresh, knowing who has keys and who doesn't.
Yes.
So I think that it would be fair for the reoccurrings
that they have a,
to have a key, but now that we will know who has keys,
you're
it'll
only
be
gonna have two
easier
or
to
three
track
out.
said
And it'll be
keys.
spelled out that they can't copy them.
Yeah, well, I don't, well, I think it's pretty
Well,
hard
we
to
have
copy
to-
that one anyways.
Who knows?
It's a pretty,
Yeah, but you go to
Pretty
a
jaggy
locksmith,
key.
they don't follow
Yeah,
it,
it's
they're
true.
not copy.
And then the ones that just come in that want it for the day for,
yeah,
whatever,
but I think that's the way it's always been, is they sign them out
they
individually.
sign them out individually, so.
Right.
Yeah, these can be duplicated anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
those are no big deal to duplicate. I mean,
So, I think, like I said, I think we,
think we're
we
all
need,
set.
I think we need to rekey it regardless, because, like I said, we don't know who's got them, who doesn't.
Right.
Over the last 15 years, holy smokes.
And I think, but I think that the newer, I think a new system with new accountability will, you know, yield better results.
Yep.
But, I mean, when's the last time that was rekeyed?
when they put the new doors
When
in,
they put the new doors in,
a couple
probably.
years ago.
I don't have a phone, or you could
Okay.
get
I
me.
know, I'm trying to say I'm trying to say liability waiver, I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
write your definitions up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and shut up.
So, okay, so we'll discuss, we'll figure out who's done what for
Yep,
next
we'll have to
meeting.
look to see in the record, see who's paid for
Okay.
what. and all that.
We'll have the door rekeyed. We'll have the doors rekeyed and
Cleaned.
have the facility brought up to standard. And,
Kyle go over
So
there and
Kyle
figure
go
out what
in,
it's
yeah.
got, what it needs.
yeah,
Right.
See if he can do that, yep.
and I move to accept the Ware Town Hall signage use rules and regulations changes and the facility use form as amended tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think it's put to bed. Till next week.
Yeah, then we'll know
Start
who's,
talking about money.
we'll talk about who's paid for it.
Is that all unanimous?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do you think you're going?
We just talked about facility use.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of which, is it okay all now?
Make sure it's clean down there, Johnny.
Oh,
Bathrooms?
We'll talk about it.
we'll talk about that in the administrative report.
Okay.
Hmm.
All
Did he
right.
get you a quote?
Are we
Oh,
doing
boy.
the, now we're doing the approval of the minutes, though?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll be
20th,
approved.
not the 27th.
On the
Yeah,
20th.
the
oh, okay.
27th we haven't gotten yet, so it's just the 20th.
Yeah.
All right, let me get him up here.
So you want to add the non-public to up here?
Well,
Yeah,
it
I'd
kind
like to
of-
move it
Open
up
the
there.
meeting at six
Well, it kind of,
forty-two.
okay, Chairman Hippler moved, Selectman Osmond seconded to enter into non-public at
Yes.
6:27, but
meeting,
you
though.
wanted a,
No.
If
we
the
open
meeting
meeting
first.
first. That we open the meeting
This has to go up here.
at 6:30.
okay. But you also want this too,
Then it
because
has to
you
go
opened the
moved into
meeting
non-public.
here at 6:42, you
I-
open back up again.
So what I would say is that I open the meeting at 6:30 underneath guests.
No.
No, at six forty-two.
No.
No, he opened the meeting at
6:27.
6:30.
6:27, okay, so I
Oh, right
opened it
here.
at 6:27,
Yep,
And then you made a motion.
and then, yeah, move to go in non-public, and then where it says, currently where it says Chairman Hippler open, just put Chairman Hippler welcomed those present to the January 21 meeting at 6:42 PM.
Opened it up.
Right.
And then reopened to the public.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that keeps it pretty clear.
Yep.
And that way there, it just, again, because we do open the meetings beforehand, but we usually don't turn the TV on because we're going right in non-public, but the door's wide open. If people are here,
Everybody hears
they
it.
hear it, that we've opened the meeting officially, and that we moved going in, so.
Okay.
John, did you get your answer from Chris?
Yes.
Can I move it? I did. Hold on. All right, anything on page one other than the move and the restructure of what we talked about? Okay. Anything on page two?
Nope.
Well, page three.
Yes. The the paragraph starting with Article 5, the last word I think should be analysis. It's a cost-benefit analysis,
No
or
analysis.
cost-benefit analyst
Yeah, I think you're right. Analysis. Yep.
Analysis.
Yep.
instead of,
Got it.
All right, anything else on 3,
nope,
4,
nope,
5?
yes. The paragraph, starting with Article 8, the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line up. To fire department instead of personnel.
Yeah, it starts off with $1 an hour. Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Anything else on 5?
I didn't know whether to clarify at the bottom. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines up. If you say where police cruisers currently, the Chargers, are causing issues. Because it's all of them, and it's more, it's all of them, right? Instead of where a police cruiser currently, the Charger, is causing issues with personnel. I don't know.
I would say it's.
Whatever you wanna
I would say
change it.
especially where the, oh, hold on, for both cruisers.
The current police cruisers
Yeah, where current police cruisers, comma, the Chargers,
are
comma.
causing issues,
Yeah,
yeah.
are causing issues.
Okay.
That makes sense?
I thought it made sense on red, but
Yep.
not an athlete.
That's it.
English I was all flat, so.
Yeah. I said math isn't my subject.
That's total.
Anything else, 6 or 7?
Nope, not me.
All right, I move to approve them as amended.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay.
I wasn't here.
You do that.
Do you have the?
I do. Lucky me.
Yes.
Manifest. Move to order treasurer to sign payroll accounts payables checks dated February 6, 2020, as including the following manifests. A payroll manifest of $61,053.95 for weekly and fire monthly payroll, and accounts payable manifest of $55,389.32 for a total of $116,443.27. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bring this up to you.
Okay, let's see. Well, these are getting pretty boring because we're kind of waiting on town meetings, so. There really isn't on the government building ones.
Nothing new.
The government building ones, the only
Oh,
thing that
10.
so I've got the site walk scheduled on there. We selected that last time for the Gordon Brown building. Are we on the same one?
Yep.
Number 2? The only other, I will just mention that the letter has gone out on number 7 and no response, so I'm thinking that things have been fine with that letter. The only other thing is, Ricky, we can talk about 10. 'Cause,
Absolutely.
we did have Mr. Reuter here and unplug the bathrooms. And
Again.
actually, it was a time when Ricky was here to do the agenda, so actually, I'm
Get to
not a
talk to him.
plumber,
Neither am
nor
I.
do I care to be. But Ricky and the gentleman had a very nice discussion about what is next.
Mhm.
So I'll let Ricky take it from there. as
So
far as-
he he removed the toilet, went down with the camera after he purged all the pipes out of it, and and he actually was able to coordinate as well as where the pipe goes. So he's got a pretty good idea where it goes in the building. He found it that that the pipe basically runs out this direction, and there's a clean out over here by the town, the clerk's office. window.
By the doghouse.
By the doghouse.
There
That's
was
where the
a,
pipe-
there was a
Bathroom.
bathroom.
There's a
then it
clean
goes-
out.
Used to be bathrooms right there.
There's a clean out out there,
And then it goes straight down the side of the driveway?
probably.
Yeah, that's what I
He didn't go,
remember.
he didn't go any further
Yeah, I
than the
think,
clean out.
I think that's where it is, though. I
So-
remember that dug up once, years ago.
So anyways, he said there is a short dip in it, over, pretty much right over by the bathroom, right in the hallway area. There's I think he said 2% dip. Not the end of the world, but it's still there. The bigger concern is that the lead pipe, or not the lead pipe, the cast iron pipe
pipes.
is
Scale.
Cured.
scaly from the inside out. So, we flush, it grabs a piece of the paper, hangs it, next thing you
Plugs it
know,
up.
here we are. So there was a couple options that were discussed. There was a short term and obviously a long term. The short term fix, which basically I said, is it done yet? I'm assuming that you would all say the same thing. The manufactured toilet that we have, 2 of them anyways, offers a rebuild kit for the fill that makes it back into a 3-gallon rather than 1.6. So not exactly building code approved, but
Short-term.
it's a short-term fix that could, like I said, aid us in getting it further down the pipe. His discussion was they can take a small section out by the clean out in the bathroom of the floor and access that pipe, and they can run a renewer down it. Basically, he said it's like a chain on the end of a drill bit, for a better term, and he can run that down. Run that down, and he can renew the pipe. So I asked him. I says, "Well, that's great. How long does that give us?" Well, he says, "I don't really know." I asked him if he'd come in from the clean out that way and come in rather than, maybe rip up the asphalt rather than the floor. He said, no, he has to have a straight shot on it. I said, well, okay. So he says, well, what we can do is we can line it. He says, regardless, we have to run the renewer down it to get all that out. So it's smooth for the liner to go in, but it's a PVC liner he can put in it. And then there was, like you said, there was a bathroom over here at one point, and there's potential that other things could still be draining into that pipe. Unknown where, like you said, without doing a survey or a study, he doesn't know if there's still stuff in there. So what he can do, though, is there's a tool that goes up after it's lined, and you can actually cut it from the inside. So you have to cut it every which way you go, and you have to estimate. Again, once he said what he said, it's like, all right, well, when can it be done? It sounds like this is where we're at now. With what we have to fight with, again, the 3-gallon thing's a short-term fix. It may aid. Oh, it's been done, okay. But it's a short-term fix, maybe, if it helps. But really, that floor has to come out. The guy was more than willing to, and then I think there's a couple elbows that are gonna come out and it'll be replaced with PVC. So, again, we're replacing newer parts.
The biggest problem, and from my experience in working on pipe, water, and sewer over the years, is that I've been around projects, they've done that, but the problem is that the cast is that old. The minute they run that renewer, which is like a flailing chain
Yep.
or a type thing, if the pipe is compromised because it's been there so long, and you've got this cancerization that's
inside it.
call it inside of it, you may puncture that pipe, and now you've got another issue. So you're going to be digging the whole thing up. So I mean,
But if
that's what I'm afraid of.
But if you put the liner back down in it,
Yep.
that would, and like he said, once you renew it, you get all that stuff out of there and run the liner down it. He says you're pretty much golden. He said we've done that in a lot of different places.
The other thing is okay. The other thing is, what's the cost of?
Well, and Naomi has that, but she wanted to get everybody up to speed on where we were before
Which way?
that came out.
I'd like to know what the cost was. Okay, to do that, and then or if you had to rip the whole floor up and put a whole new pipe all the way.
Well, and there was talk too of, he says, well, I got to jackhammer the floor. So Naomi says, well, can we have our town guys do that if they're not busy that day? He says, oh yeah.
Lay it out.
No. He said just cut a 3x3 block out, rent a jackhammer it out, dig it out.
They probably got a cutoff saw. They could probably saw it.
Regardless,
Yeah.
but he's the guy was more than willing to allow us to do labor that we could do.
Yep.
On our own to try and keep the cost down. He was more than willing to work with us on that. So, and I was very appreciative of that.
Yeah, so it says, price for descaling sewer line with the DPW opening up both sections of sewer and giving Mr. Reuter proper access to do the work described. DPW be responsible for backfilling both sections of sewer line and re-cementing the floor is $3,500.
Well, how much have we spent so far? Because I think we've spent more.
Yeah, we
Option
spent-
2 is price for descaling sewer line and pipelining sewer from outside the building to inside with DPW opening up both sections of the sewer and giving Mr. Reuter proper access to the work. DPW would be responsible for backfilling and re-cementing the floor. Ding, ding, ding. 10.
10,000?
To run a whole new line.
To run the descaler and to do the pipelining the sewer from outside the building to inside the building.
But that's, yeah. Because I had asked for both options. I said, rather not disturb the floor if we have to.
How much have we
if
spent
we
up
have
to date?
Yeah, that's
with
what
this?
We spent last year. Huh? We did it all in last year. I don't have to write asbestos. We took it out of 19s.
Yeah, but I'm just curious as how much we spent just on
We spent a lot.
Well,
I know at one time you said we were over
just,
6.
just in this manifest was $1,600 from the, or $1,100 from the come.
Yeah,
So,
116660 was this.
so there you go. So, I mean, we're talking if he's already been here half a dozen times.
And that's using the camera, that's,
Yeah.
doing the whole enchilada.
that's doing everything. And that's remove and reset toilet. Additional hour.
She said it was over 6,000, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, so I mean,
So we're well on our way to the 10.
What did you say? What did you say, Sherry?
I remember one meeting here back along that Naomi said that we'd already paid 6,000.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
So-
so,
I thought that.
to me, 3,500 is
One
cheap
was
enough.
two-
Well,
And we talked about doing it in the spring though, so we didn't have to dig it up.
Right, so the 3 gallons would
But
keep us
spring may be
tight
here
of spring.
shortly, so.
Yeah,
But I think that's a viable option.
we'll try it, see how
Sounds
it
like
works.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously the piping ain't gonna get no better from
No, and that little bit of a 2% increase isn't helping out either.
yeah, the 2% grade. That is, I mean, it doesn't help him, but it's been there forever. So, well, since that whole basement was remodeled, it's been like that since day one. So,
So, I mean,
That's
the
a long time.
thing that's brought it up,
I think the thing what's changed is the fact
low
that the pipe
usage,
is
the low flow.
right. Well, yeah, that, and I think that the pipe
Almost
falling
scale.
apart from its inside is the other aspect of that. So, but, anything else on?
Just on the other one, I really don't have anything more to add, just more of a reminder of deliberative session Saturday, regardless of the weather. I know it looks good today, but I think last week it didn't look that good. Because there's no changing it if, ands, or buts. If we end up getting the snow that's supposed to be for Friday, it's Saturday. Because we have to hold it by then.
Yeah.
So, facility use, public hearing you held tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll be a little late. Other than that, a good share of these are also kind of in limbo until we get through, I think, A, deliberative session, and then B, town meeting. Deliberative session's more to get everything done and move on to the mailer and the town report, which anybody that hasn't got their stuff in for the town report, it's gonna go without it shortly, if we can't. 'Cause Saturday, I have to have a copy with me, and I know we're still trying to chase down some reports, but Karen's done a great job chasing them, but we can only chase for so long, a deadline's a deadline, so,
Our report's all set, correct?
yes,
Okay.
your report's there.
Okay.
Just trying to figure out what we're gonna do for the cover.
Okay.
And there are like a few we're still chasing, so,
This year was dedicated to Mike Sullivan.
in memoriam is Mike, yes.
Yeah.
And then recognition we did to the two retirees was Chip and Mary,
Chip and Mary.
so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Article 25, do we get anything new on that one?
Article 25, what is that?
That's the one with
Oh, for the
a whack.
You want, I don't know, you're gonna have to get it on the floor.
we'll figure it out
Yeah.
from the floor. Yeah, he said he was
Okay,
gonna
well,
bring
I
it.
That's
didn't
by
know.
petition, so.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
don't,
know if they came up with any more money, that was.
well,
all
he
I
wouldn't
wanted.
even, well, I don't think he, I told him any amendments had to be done on the floor, so.
Okay, all
So if
right.
he's got anything, he'll probably just make that from the
Yeah,
floor.
he was gonna, and he knew that whatever he did, he had to do it on the floor after being,
Okay, we'll move on to correspondence of the business. All right, we did get a little bit of correspondence over the week. I did forward it regarding Bogue Road and the tree clearing up there. It was forwarded, it was actually sent to, I believe, Jan, myself, and
Sherry and
Sherry
me.
and Naomi.
Benji, yeah.
So I included the gentleman on the ends. And, John, you took it right up there?
Yeah, the road's gonna be under reconstruction. I saw nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
You know, you went up and cut the trees, which has to be done before you start any type of reconstruction. I mean, when the job's all done in the fall or whatever, if there's a problem, that's when you to address it, but what's there now is, as far as I'm concerned, it's fine.
You know, and the other thing is too, is it's gonna look very, very gnarly, and the reason is because we haven't been able to keep up with the mowing. So
Right.
it's gonna look very, very bad for probably a year.
Well,
You
think
know,
of it.
till some vegetation grows back in.
I came up 3 or 4 years ago up over Eastman Hills, right near where your folks'
Yep.
driveway is, and they had
Mowed
taken
that all down.
mowed, that
Oh, yeah.
looked like hell. I mean, there was things
yeah.
like that sticking up.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it alongside
There is,
114 going towards Henniker a few years
Yeah.
ago, and they had the mower up in the air, and they just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did
They looked like
Quaker,
shredded toothpicks.
they did Quaker Street, what was it, beginning of the spring?
Yeah.
And that looked terrible, but now it doesn't look
Yeah, when
bad.
we got a flail mower in there, it doesn't
Yeah,
look that
it
great.
looks pretty aggressive, but like I said, I think Quaker Street looks fine now, so, I've got nothing there.
I didn't ride up, but
Yeah,
I may ride up, but I wasn't too worried about it.
there was anybody else got anything else before I continue? No,
Go
maybe?
ahead, I was
Old Road,
gonna
no.
just ask about this.
Go ahead.
When Bill came in and made his presentation, he brought this with him. Did we need to make a change on here?
The purchase.
That's
one.
if you were gonna put it out to bid.
But we did decide not to.
No, I have to just grab the one that Laura gave me. There's a couple of samples.
Okay.
We're not putting it out to bid.
Right, I understand, but I thought that these were ones that were being left off. So I'm assuming forestry is not being part of going out to bid. So these are the ones here that were, like land use department, legal services that we don't.
Those are not gone out to bid.
Okay,
He's
all right.
asking to be included as those.
As those.
Shall be exempt from.
He's looking to be exempt.
That's what I meant. So did forestry have to be included in this
Does the
paragraph?
forester have to be added to that paragraph?
Well, you guys can do that, yeah. That's your own policy, but I didn't know, I thought you were looking at the ad for the bid.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I just
Extra
thought that
backstory.
maybe that, it probably should be added here if that's what our plan is to do, and we did it.
Yeah, I don't see why we couldn't just add that language.
On here,
See what
'cause
they
I
got.
thot that may be
Well,
why
talk to
this
the
was
land
Do you
brought
want
in.
to
use.
amend
See
your
what they've
purchasing
got.
policy to
Well-
add that?
It's the town one, though.
Yeah.
Do you want to amend the purchasing policy to include Forester as a result?
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Last thing that I've got is, on the, one of the Facebook sites, there was a post that said that the budget was going up 15%. And if you put the numbers that were presented on the front of that municipal, or the budget worksheet binder, if you put the proposed number for 2020 and the number for 2019, yes, it's 15%. But, let's rewind back to 2019, when we approved a road bond, when we approved 2 full-time firefighters for the fire department, when we approved a 10-wheel dump truck, when we approved a skid steer, there was a lot of things that we approved that became part of the operating budget. Some more one-time expenditures, obviously, which was the 10-wheeler but reoccurring would be the bond and the firefighters.
Right.
2 things I can think of right off the top of my head. And I did put that out there and received a little flack over it, but like I said,
Well, I
I was
think-
honest in what I said.
I think if anybody watched the finance committee meeting, the finance committee, it's easy, and one of the members said it, it's easy to pick us apart. Because 68 cents of $4.43 is a big number. But when you get $15 million on the school side, their increase is different. But collectively, you said here that night, collectively, when they sat all down and put them all together, it was my
2.6.
understanding that, I think it was Matt that took all the minutes and said, now that we've put it all together, we're looking at, as they recommend, a 2.6% increase overall.
Can we do this again in the book?
Oh, they're gonna do that anyway.
Right.
So, a 2%, 2.6%, so then one other board member mentioned that the inflation's 2.3, so they were looking at 0.3, then they decided to go back and revisit the government building one, which was close in vote-wise, and I think maybe largely due to the late hour, they decided that they would just leave it alone and let the voters kind of decide. But-
So was that approved or not approved?
No, they didn't even go back, you left,
Okay.
they didn't even go back and do that. So it is what it is, but that's typically following their path. It's not the whole 68 cents, but like you pointed out, we warned them in 19 of what 20 was gonna cost.
There was gonna be an impact.
And we stuck to, and we actually have included a 53rd week to payroll, and still, it's only a $9,000 difference. So I think we did well in the proposal for what we told you we were gonna do. And that's where I think it needs to be, because, you know, any statistician, any mathematician, you can make whatever you want out of a percentage. And yes, it's focused on ours, and I also saw a comment back that hopefully everybody's being scrutinized the same, which I think is a great comment, because there was accusations made that all the spenders come Saturday and spend it all, where we're this much of we're 68 cents if everything was to pass. So it is, because I received several phone calls over the weekend that want to come down and go over the numbers because they can't afford 15%. And I said, well, 15%'s not really accurate. It is if you're not taking into consideration your entire tax bill. So, you know, I'll do my best to explain to them where 15% came from in the email, and that's the whole trouble with social media.
Absolutely.
You can
I
put
agree.
out whatever you want, you can make it sound good, make it sound not good. I just think we need to stay focused with, you know, the whole, how we put it together, what we told last year, what we have this year. And I just think 38 cents of that 68 cents is the bond payment. So I just think that,
More than
you know,
half.
it's a little more than half.
But that's, you know, that's something that was voted in 2019. You know, so we have to live with it now, unfortunately. Or fortunately, however you look at it.
I mean, the other thing is, if you want certain standards, I
Yep.
mean, it doesn't come for free, so you've gotta, but you don't wanna pay
And there's-
exorbitant prices.
There's
and I
also
don't
no
think it is.
guarantee, and I tried to explain this, there was money given back. There's $320,000 returned from last year. You're also gonna have a good share of the homes that are down on the development on 114 haven't even hit your net assessed evaluation yet.
No.
So when those hit there, plus, who's to say you don't have a great year, I say a great year, and turn back more money, and then when it comes time to sit down, you may be able to give enough back to keep the tax rate the same.
Yeah.
I mean, if we all had that crystal ball, that's fine, but it's hard for the regular person to understand that. And I know we did put out, also on our town website are the pages, the financial pages are on the financial, Beth put on the pages for the default and the pages for the summary with, this is all on there, this part of it, along with the first few pages of this proposed default budget. So that's on the financial or finance administrator's portion of the website in an effort to get more information out there. Because this information's not being portrayed, I think, how it should be. And I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how many people will come, but I understand they're gonna have a coffee hour at the library on Thursday.
Yeah, that's at 9:30. The department heads are going. Thelma has done an invite for anybody that wants to, but she also asked if I could round up the department heads to go in case anybody had questions.
Right.
So providing the weather stays, I've got them all going.
It'll be pretty
I
messy
think
on
Thursday's not gonna be the
Thursday.
greatest day.
No, it isn't.
No.
So we'll see what happens there.
That's all I have. Anybody else?
I'd just like to remind you that Sunday the 9th to Saturday the 15th, I will be out of state.
Yes, thank you. I had heard it was gonna be earlier than that. I says, he better not. I heard it was earlier than that by somebody else, and I said, no, he better not be leaving me high and dry for deliberative.
No, I will be here Saturday.
You will not be here for the voting.
Tuesday, no, I've already voted.
Yeah,
You got
You
mine.
absentee you.
How many times?
And I won't be hanging around, no.
No.
No, I'm just gonna throw it out there. You know, we heard about the default. That's gonna be a theme for Saturday, you know that.
Yep.
Um,
I don't know.
I think you know, you're just gonna hear the same thing again. I just,
I get something on that. The only thing that bothers me is a little bit that there's what I heard, there is a copy of the letter or email from the attorney, which is privileged, and it's floating around out in the public, and I don't.
oh, that
really
was,
care.
that was handed out.
And I don't really care about some of that. I don't think that should have gone out the way it did, so, but
And,
that's
and
my
I,
opinion.
and I understand what he's
Or
saying.
the
I've
decision
had
on
the-
the only part of it. That's what
But,
it is.
I mean, I understand, and part of how I feel is we're dwelling a lot on default, when I think we actually should be focusing on proposed.
Yep.
So proposed is what we need, proposed is what we put out there. Default is default, handed to us by state law. So put out there proposed, we propose what we needed. 2021 gets to us, 21 comes to us. Proposed is one, default is the higher number, but again, I think if we're totally in support of what we've put on paper, we actually, and sell's not the right word, I was told, is we actually promote what we feel we put together is the greatest bang for your buck, and I think that's what we need to do. We can debate all day about default, and I'm not gonna go into that. I just think that it is what it is, and I think we shouldn't dwell on default. If the default is dealt us, we'll do what we can do with default, we'll find what we have to find, but that's how the state law is written. Proposed is what we've put forward, what we need to do to operate, and I think that's where we need to go. I understand he has an opinion, and that's fine. There's a lot of other opinions too. You're gonna hear that whole thing again on Saturday.
Yeah, why not?
But I think if we truly believe what we put together is the best product we can for the service to provide to this community, then we wholeheartedly get behind it and move towards proposed and get off the default bus.
I think the
You know
default
what?
bus, it's
I
like it's
happen to
accepting
agree
defeat.
with you, except, I think the elections thing is on, like, out there on its own.
Only because we've made it that way. From
No,
all
I'm
this
not saying,
promotion.
well,
From all
whether
this
we've made it that
discussion.
way.
I
Well,
think
no,
we're-
I don't, I would hear, I totally understand that, but, and I understand we have to have 4 elections. But the argument that I'm gonna stand back and say is mandated by state law, we have to, not I'm not gonna use I, it's we have to have unemployment insurance, we have to have workers' comp insurance, we have to remove the trash. At what cost? I don't get to do that. It doesn't get to fluctuate. It is what it is. So we provide what we had this year and hope for the best, plan for the worst, but this is the same way.
Yeah.
We have to hold elections. Elections has been under in all these years. I get it. I don't feel that it's been put out there. It's been put out there because it all of a sudden came to everybody's attention through various ways. I think, again, we need 4, we propose 4, we have to hold 4 elections. There's a lot of things in the default are different, but at the same time, we've only picked out 1. And that's where, if we wholeheartedly believe we put together a proposed budget that's gonna provide this service, the best service we can to this community, and get the buy-in versus the negativity attached to the default, then let's move forward and propose and move
Yeah,
on
I'm not
it.
negative on anything else on the default except for elections, which is mandated.
Right, so,
It's a mandated item, which is
But-
what I tried to say last week.
Yeah.
It is mandated.
But the
So
other things that I mentioned are mandated too.
We're mandated.
what's mandated?
You have to have an unemployment insurance, you have to have workers'
pay the
comp
retirement.
insurance, right?
And-
And those fluctuate,
and you have to move the trash.
and you have to move the trash.
And we contract with a outside vendor for the trash.
It's not even that, it's the
No, no, no.
Wheelabrator number.
Right,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is,
Tonnage.
but we haul to get rid of it, we have to get rid of it, you can't just let it
Well,
stockpile
right.
there.
Building this-
So you have to
building
pay
demo.
somebody, because we don't have the means within this town to move it, and then we get chastised for making that contract.
Well, I mean, even.
Well, I don't think
Yeah.
it's I don't take that contract, because that contract was in the approved budget, so that's in the default.
Right,
Contract part. The number
been
of
chastised
tons
by
that
it
you
before.
take over and the price per ton is
They
based
charge you a
on the
Wheelabrator.
state at Wheelabrator.
Tipping fees.
So if I end up with more residents bringing more trash, I somehow have to pay for it. I'm not worried about the tonnage, because the hauling, because that's totally different.
But that could go with everything, like, I mean, tires. If we use more tires this year, that's.
Right, and that's what I'm
I mean, you have to
saying.
buy the tires,
mean-
but that's not like a state mandate type thing. It's not I mean, you don't
have
have
to.
to put tires
run
on the
bump
truck,
tires.
I guess, if you can ride.
Well, I mean, we
use
can get
11
into
trucks
it.
instead
And
of
I-
12.
all I'm saying is, I want to move off this hump.
I think it's a
And let's
defeatist
move on,
attitude
and
to
let's
look at it.
propose,
You know.
I think we should just, if we wholeheartedly support what we put together, then I don't know why we're talking about the
Right.
default.
It-
We're hoping to get a proposed budget.
Well, we have
Well, I understand where you're
you've
coming
accepted
from, but
defeat
what
already.
happens if you don't?
If we go
We'll
with
find
that.
it. We have to find it. We've
did.
had
On my
default for
budget.
years.
We did a couple years ago.
We had to find default for
And
years.
at the end of the day, we've had two legal opinions on it. And both of them are in agreeance with the number that we put forward. And it's not, again, one was from NHMA and one is our own.
Right.
And both of them said,
I didn't
Well,
get this till
well-
today, so I didn't have this last
right,
week.
but
Have what?
The one that was from our attorney.
Right, which was illegally sent around.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I
it
didn't
was,
send anything
I'm
anywhere.
not saying that. I'm
Because I just
I'm
got it
just saying
myself.
that, you know, town council said that that's our opinion.
I agree with that, but to a certain extent, I don't think this was read to us.
It wasn't, but I asked our attorney, he's not our attorney, he held Phil in,
Yeah,
but I asked our attorney, she agreed with Steve Buckley,
who is NHMA?
who's
Who
NHMA.
is the one
do
that we
we
received?
have that?
Yes, we
I
have
have
that
it.
last
Yeah,
week.
I have it.
Okay.
I had it verbally, I had to get it afterwards because
We got-
of
we-
what's occurred.
we
But
got
I
it last
think,
week.
I think what probably is the most disheartening is the way it came about. You know, I
I
got you,
noticed it last week.
you noticed what?
About well, when you went to the 8,600.
No, we talked about it.
We talked about it.
Yeah, no, and we
Right.
discussed it back and
Right.
forth.
But I'm just saying how the whole other people having our opinion came
Right.
about was totally wrong.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna go there,
yep.
but our opinion is a client-attorney privilege.
That's the one that we got last week.
Is attorney-client privilege,
I think NHMA though is really,
but that's who puts on our seminars.
I know, and they're struggling because of what they had told people before. Because they were the ones that kind of told us to do the other thing.
That was a different organization.
Well, but I also,
It wasn't it, Steve Buckley, it was him.
I'm just saying, I mean, let's move on. I just think how it got passed around was to be totally blindsided and to be at the podium when my emailed to me, got read at the finance, and then the finance meeting was stopped. And, you know, because it was provided to Mr. Kirk. Mr. Kirk had the opinion, and then the whole finance committee stopped, asked Ricky to go make copies of it, so 13 of them can now have it, and they do. Which I think is, it's not proper. I just think we need to move on. I'm ready to move on, but just to warn you, you're gonna hear the same thing again.
Right.
And the belief is gonna be, it's mandated by law. But
Yeah.
again, it's mandated by law. A lot of things are mandated by law, but at the end of the day, I think we need to go behind what we propose. We spent a lot of time, we spent a lot of effort into the proposed budget, which is really what we told you we were gonna put to you last year, give to you last year, I don't mean to say it that way. What we told you we were gonna give to you last year, including of a 53rd week, and I think you get a lot out of 68 cents, my sense, this is me as
Is your
taxpayer.
2 cents?
Or it's my 2 cents. And I can throw it on the
2
table
cents
if
of the
somebody wants.
68
And
would
again,
make
and again, I
70.
think it's to just fall back and keep looking at the default. It's a defeatist attitude we're taking. And
Right.
instead of going by what we proposed, so you've already accepted that we're going to get a default budget. We haven't even gone to the polls yet. So I
No,
think
I'm not
I
saying
think
that,
I
but
think the thing is we've got to put forth what we've proposed, stick by it, and not worry about it because you can worry about a whole bunch of other stuff. It isn't going to change. I mean,
And again, we did have legal opinion on it. It's not.
we do have a legal opinion, and that's the way it's. we
And
gotta
it
go
wasn't
with.
just Mr. Buckley, it was our own as well. So, anything else?
And I don't mean to, I'll stop, that's enough, but I think we're gonna hear it again and again.
We are gonna
and
hear it again.
again.
There's no doubt we're gonna hear
But
it
I think
again.
we need to move on and just go for the proposed. If we end up with default, we'll figure it out.
Yep,
Yep.
We're still gonna have 4 elections at the long run.
yep.
Either
And we're
way.
gonna find a bottom line. That's the end, that's the way we do it.
That's the bottom line budget. We'll
That's,
find out.
that's the way we
We'll
work,
figure it
that's the way
out.
we operate, so. Anything
all set.
else?
Yep.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a wonderful night.